There's no place like the road for the Athletics. Last night in the Bronx, the A's extended their road winning streak to 7 games. It was Brett Lawrie's big fly in the top of the 10th inning that helped the A's get the extra inning win off a tough Yankee bullpen. Tonight, they look for 8 in a row on the road behind Scott Kazmir, who's coming off a dominating performance versus the Seattle Mariners. It's Game 2 from the stadium, A's Yankees, and it starts right now. Well, it rained earlier. The tarp was on the field for a little while, but it is off now, and Scott Kazmir and the A's are set to roll, trying to make it 2 in a row over the Yankees. Our game will start on time. That is the good news. And Brett Lawrie, he should be smiling. He was the hero last night in the A's extra inning win. It's Game 2 of the 3-game series. It's the A's and the Yankees from Yankee Stadium. We'll have it for you right here on Comcast Sportsnet California. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's Baseball, along with Ray Fossing. I'm Glenn Kuiper. The lefty Scott Kazmir making his 17th start of the year, and Ray's on a nice roll. He's been terrific in his last 5 starts, and that includes his last start against the Mariners.
And, you know, Kuiper, he continues to prove that he is a pitcher, not a flamethrower, mid-90s with a fastball. And what he did against the Seattle Mariners in the last start, some of the swings, Nelson Cruz there, he got Trumbull with a changeup. The only hits he gave up really in the 8 innings were both the Gutierrez broke up his perfect game. But what a start for Scott Kazmir. And I think watching him now, you can understand why a lot of teams want him, but the A's are fortunate to have him because right now he knows how to pitch, he knows how to change speed, and when he needs the fastball, he needs to throw a 95, he can still do it.
So Kazmir pitching well. The Yankees starter tonight, CC Sabathia, is really struggling. His ERA is at 5.5, and we'll see what CC brings to the table tonight in Game 2 of this series. When we come back, we'll have lineups and first pitch from the Bronx. It's the A's and the Yankees, Game 2 of the series. From Yankee Stadium, the weather has cleared up. There are still some dark clouds overhead, so that's a little bit of a concern. It rained some today. It never really rained hard, kind of a light rain, but we should be all right. Our game time weather is presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. So it's warm and humid, 78 degrees. It has actually cooled off a little bit. But we'll just hope that those dark clouds stay away and we get the full 9 innings in tonight here in New York. The lineup tonight for the Athletics looks like this. There he is, Billy Burns in center field. Stephen Vogt will play first base. Ben Zobrist plays second. Billy Butler's in the DH spot. Brett Laurie up to the 5th spot. Then Jake Smolinski makes his A's debut. He'll be in right field hitting 6th. Josh Fegley will catch. Mark Canha's in left, and Marcus Semien is at short.
And for the New York Yankees, everybody out on the West Coast knows him. He's from Vallejo. His name is CC Sabathia. 17th start for Big CC, and also for CC against the Athletics, it'd be start number 29. He's won 8 games against the Athletics, but overall, he is trying to get back on track. A couple of days extra that he got before starting tonight. But, of course, he always likes to pitch against the A's, whether in Oakland or here in New York. The A's did beat him in Oakland, as the A's scored 5 off of him, including a couple of home runs. Kendall Graveman did a great job as well.
Defensively behind Sabathia, the Yankees line up with Gardner, Ellsbury, who's just off the disabled list, and Young in the outfield. Petit, Gregorius, Perella, and Teixeira on the infield, with Murphy doing the catching, Sabathia doing the pitching. So we are set as Billy Burns steps in. Big CC Sabathia is ready, and game 2 is about to be underway. First pitch is a fastball on the outside corner for a strike. So we're underway from the Bronx. Quite a win last night for the A's, 4-3 in 10 innings. Maybe one of the better wins of the year for the Athletics.
Well, you finally win in extra innings. That's got to be special for the Athletics, and especially the way they did it.
Up the middle off of Sabathia, and Burns is going to have an infield hit. So he swung at the 2nd pitch of the game.
Yeah, Cap, I asked him about last night and how different it is, and he said, of course, Evaldes, as we know, threw him a curveball first pitch. Tonight, CC threw him a fastball. They came back with another fastball, and it went off of the right foot. And once it got past CC, actually is headed up the middle. He kicked it over towards first, but at that point, it's going to be another infield hit for Billy Burns.
So Burns with hit number 80 and infield hit number 23. So here's Vogt. That rest that Ray was talking about for Sabathia, 8 days since his last start. They pushed him back, let him get some work in the bullpen. We'll see if that makes a difference. But just trying to figure it out. There's a liner. Teixeira has it, and did he tag him? Yeah, they called him out of the baseline, so it's a double play.
Well, a hanging curve, Vogt hit it hard, unfortunately, with Teixeira holding the runner right to him, and there's nothing that Billy Burns could do. Right there, got him, if you're right, out of the baseline, and that's why it was called out. But that, again, as hard as it was hit, could have been down on the corner, might even scored Billy Burns, but instead, Teixeira with a nice grab and a very quick double play.
So 2 outs, and Zobrist steps in. Zobrist 261 with 5 homers, 31 RBIs. He's at second base tonight. Zobrist started in left field last night.
Kind of the left-handed pitcher's lineup against the Athletics, but Zobrist comes in the second. And
John Hirschbeck is the crew chief, and he is calling balls and strikes tonight. Breaking ball in there, first strike, and the count is 1-2.
It's always interesting to watch home plate umpires and how they set up, and just watching John Hirschbeck, he has a spot right now. See where his left foot and his right foot. He doesn't really move, even though the catcher Murphy might move outside. He's okay inside with that pitch.
hit hard on one hopper to Gregorius, who throws across the diamond. Side retired. So a leadoff hit by Burns, but the double play helps Sabathia. So it's Scott Kazmier's turn to take the mound. No score. Kazmier will face for the Yankees. Ellsbury back in there, and they're thrilled about that. And then it's Gardner. So Ellsbury, Gardner at the top. Two very good players. Rodriguez, Teixeira, Young, Murphy, Gregorius, Perella, and Petit.
Scott Kazmier, first start this season against the New York Yankees in that 4-game series in Oakland. He did not start, but he's pitching very well. His record at 5-5, and that 2+ ERA outstanding for Scott Kazmier, as we detailed in our open about him pitching against the Mariners using all of his pitches. He was perfect early in the game, only 2 hits in 8 innings. But you're right, Yankees very happy about number 22 coming back.
And here he is, Jacoby Ellsbury. He was having a very fine season till he took a swing in a game on May 19th and tweaked his right knee. Went down as a right knee sprain, and the next day he was placed on the disabled list. But overall, he was off to a great start. 324. He had 14 steals. So yeah, indeed, they're thrilled to have him back. In fact, it's a good day for the Yankees. They get Ellsbury back and they get Andrew Miller back, and he is stud closer.
17 consecutive saves to start as a Yankee, and that's never been done, but they are happy to get them both back. And even against Scott Kazmier, the lefty in the lineup, Joe Girardi's got a pretty solid left-handed hitting bench, considering Kazmier that started tonight. Does a Gardner following Ellsbury.
2-2 now.
You know, Cap, already the strike zone for John Hirschbeck is different than James Hoyle last night, because the 2 pitches that have been called strikes were balls last night. They weren't even close on the outside part of the plate. So maybe that's good news for the A's facing the lefties that are in the lineup.
Full count now to Ellsbury. There's Gardner waiting in the on-deck circle. So
I wonder if he's going to point to behind home plate, which says at Vote Gardy.
Vote Gardy.
There it is. They had that stenciled out there before in painting. It's I've never seen that.
So if Stephen Vogt was on the final 5, he'd go to the Coliseum, it would be Vote, Vote.
Vote, Vote. And if I were Stephen Vogt or those Fegley's there, I'd mark that out. I'd just start putting my spikes through it right now.
That one down the left field line. Canna's over there. Canna makes the catch. Let's check out the A's defense. You saw Canna in left field. It's Burns in center, and Jake Smolinski is in right. And Laurie, Simeon, Zobrist, and Vogt on the infield, with Fegley doing the catching.
You know, the recent homestand, we saw an umpire actually go out and take the lines behind home plate and mark them out.
Yep.
He should do that with the Vote Guard. There is Jake Smolinski, who is joining the ball club yesterday and gets his first start against the same guy he started last year when he came to big leagues. Big CC Sabathia. Right. Yeah, Vogt Gardy behind the plate. That's, I mean, it's on the board big time and now behind the plate. And
trying to get him in.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. They asked Brett Gardner yesterday about, you know, the fact that, you know, the team is really pushing for him and what, you know, Brett, what do you want to do? How do you want to kind of push to get this? He said, I don't want to do anything. He said, I was here when that one toward Canna, and he's going to have a base hit, and Gardner is going to make a big turn. But what he said was, he goes, I was here when the same thing happened with Nick Swisher.
Yeah.
And Swisher,
oh yeah,
well, he partook in the festivities.
Oh
meaning,
yes.
Yeah, vote me in. Here I am. Let's go. Right. That's fine. That's the way Nick is, right? But Gardner said, I don't really want to do that.
Right.
I thought it was interesting. So there are the final vote candidates. Voting is hot and heavy right now.
Well, Cespedes, all he did last night with 2 strikes and 2 outs in the 9th inning against Rodney, hit a home run straightaway center. Right. Dozier hit a walk-off. Gardner, of course, we know here. Moustakas playing well. Xander Bogaerts, very good shortstop for the Red Sox.
But it just sounded like Gardner said, you know what? If the organization wants to push, that's fine. I just don't want to be
I agree.
involved.
I agree. Because what Nick Swisher did, and we'll see Swish over the weekend in Cleveland, but he went on like Good Morning America, and he was tweeting out all over the world, vote for Swish. And I mean, if there's ever a chance to get votes, that's the way he did it.
And I would say that's a great way to get votes if you want to go about that. But it doesn't go unnoticed in the clubhouse.
That's a great point. And what Gardner did is very, very good for the clubhouse. You know, just let them do what they're going to do, but I'll just play my game. If I get in, great. If not, take 4 days off.
0-2 to Alex Rodriguez. 280 with 16 homers, 47 RBIs for Rodriguez. He was 0 for 4 with a walk, where he walked in the 10th inning last night to keep the game alive, but then Clippard struck out Teixeira to end the game. And that one is right there, and Rodriguez knew it. 2 outs.
Well, change up inside, then fastball outside corner again. John Hirschbeck. Look at his slot. And if you've got a reputation for throwing strikes, John Hirschbeck, who is known throughout his career not being necessarily pitcher friendly, but he makes you swing the bat. You know, with the strike zone he has where he's set up, especially with a right-handed batter, that is a long look to the outside part of the plate. And inside, he moves behind the hitter.
Yeah, he is an awful long ways.
Yes.
Fastball change for Kazmir. Likes the cutter as well. On a roll. 3-1 with a 1.53 ERA in his last 5 starts. Teixeira bounces that one off his foot.
Well, Scott, Tyler Clippard talking about the at-bat last night by Teixeira hitting left-handed. This one, he's got a protection, hit the ground first, then came up and hit him in the inner part of the foot. But, you know, when we were talking, I thought maybe he was tipping his pitches, and Clippard simply said he thought he was taking a strike. He was at the at-bat taking a strike. Every pitch he took, like he knew it was coming. But he said, I didn't throw him a strike until 3-0. And then came back and, of course, pulled the string on the 3-2 changeup. But if you remember the 3-1 check swing on a fastball, it was like he was looking for it but wasn't and had a half swing. And then it's hard for a hitter not to think fastball 3-2. And when Clippard threw that great changeup and struck him out last night, I mean, that was a thing of beauty. And for the A's, that was runners at first and second with a power hitter, Teixeira hitting left-handed.
And Teixeira swings and misses 94 miles an hour from Kazmir. So a couple of strikeouts for Kazmir and a runner stranded. No score after 1. No score, second inning. It'll be Butler, Laurie, and Smolinski against Sabathia. He's come in 39 and 47, so 8 games under 500. 5-5 in their last 10. But stretch that out, 14-8 is their record in their last 22 games. Seems like they can't quite separate that 7, 8, 9 games under 500. Seems like they've been stuck there for a while, even though they have been playing better lately.
Good thing they got off the 16 under 500 and got it down to about half of that, and
that was the
trying to keep it going. You're right. And for Bob Melvin, he wants to see the consistency. Good record since May 23rd. 8 games over 500, but when you start out at that point 16 games under, you have to keep playing and playing well and get on a nice winning streak.
Butler hooks one, foul down in the corner.
Fair.
No, it's fair.
Yeah.
Billy Butler stood at home plate.
I did. I know. I just looked at the umpire quickly, Kip, and I saw.
I did too. I looked at Butler, and I did not see him moving.
And you're exactly right. I was thinking it was hooking. I was waiting for a fan to catch it, and I happened to glance up and I saw James Hoyle put his hand out to the right, indicating fair ball. We could not see it up here, but right on the line. I think that's why Butler, who hooked it, thought like us, Cap, that it was going to hook foul, and thought it was going to. But the ball was cutting in on him. He just stopped, said, oh, better get going.
And about the last 50 feet or so, we really can't see the chalk line from the booth. But a good start. Butler with a double. Here's Laurie. And Laurie bounces it. Gregorius dives. It rolls away. And everybody's going to be safe. Butler to third, Laurie to first.
Yeah, CC Sabathia is a great person, does a lot of things, but I must admit 5 batters and everything's been hit hard.
Yep.
And that one hit hard. Gregorius said, for Billy Butler, that's a dangerous play, but the ball trickled away from him, so he was able to get to third. Actually, by diving, Gregorius saved an RBI for Brett Laurie. That ball was headed up the middle, and Butler on the move would have been able to score.
So infield hit for Laurie. He's got a bunch of those. He's got the great speed. He really runs extremely well. Here's Smolinski, his A's debut. Taps this one to third. Coming home, and Butler's going to be in a rundown. And they're going to tag him, and the runners stay at first and second. So a big out there for Sabathia.
You know, the rule of thumb, and it's tough on a base runner, but the rule of thumb, if there's only going to be one play, you don't run. If it's going to be hard to double up the hitter, you stay at third, and that was going to be a tough double play for the third baseman, Petit. He made the right play, and he also got the ball back quickly to prevent the other runners from advancing. But a slowly hit ball means that really it's probably not going to be a double play. They might get a runner in second, but at worst you have first and third, and now back to first and second. So definitely a big out for the Yankees, and probably could have been played a little bit better by the Athletics.
Here's Fegley. Fegley takes outside. 268 with 5 home runs, 17 RBIs for Fegley. 310 against left-handed pitching. He's a pretty good threat for Bob Melvin when there's a lefty on the mound.
Just as I said about hard hit balls, Smolinski hits one slowly, and the first of the first 7 batters, or 6 batters that is. So Jake Smolinski facing CC Sabathia as he did last year when he joined the Rangers.
One and one the count to Fegley. Laurie and Smolinski are the runners. Outfield straight away. And there's a base hit left center field. Laurie's going to score. He'll score without a throw. And Fegley gives the A's an early 1-0 lead.
Fegley seems to find a way, doesn't it? It's amazing. And this has kind of been a consistent batting order for the Athletics, with A lefty on the mound. That means Fegley catches. Stephen Vogt at first, off the end of the bat, just softly enough over the head of Gregorius in the left center field, and it was going to enable Laurie to score easily as he hustles around third. But that's an idea of a runner at second, knowing where the outfielders are positioned and knowing the ball is going to drop in front. And Laurie did it perfectly.
So 3 hits in the inning. Here's Canna. First pitch to Canna is a strike on the outside corner. So there's that wide strike call. That pitch looks like it was outside. Canna with 7 doubles, a triple, and 8 home runs.
I'd mentioned about Scott Kazmir, but it works the same for CC Sabathia against the A's right-handers. A lot of them in the lineup tonight.
That one right there for strike. So now it's 0-2. 90 miles an hour from Sabathia.
CC Sabathia from Vallejo. Marcus Simmons, of course, from the Bay Area. And Mark Canna from San Jose. So we got a lot going on. That's right. Between the pitcher and some hitters from the Athletics.
Fastball fouled straight back. Sabathia, the #1 pick of the Cleveland Indians. Got to the big leagues at the age of 20. That was back in 2001. Won the Cy Young in 2007. Traded to the Brewers in 2008. And there's a line drive left field base hit. Smolinski will come around to score. Fegley to third. It's 2-0 the A's lead.
Rothschild's going to visit his big lefty, but great job of hitting. 2-strike hitting by Canna to drive in a run. Again, a little bit towards the end of the bat, but maybe cut back into the strike zone. And it was a cutter. And Mark Canna able to get out in front and hook it. Brett Gardner opted not to throw to third as Fegley was hustling. Gardner immediately throwing to second to keep the double play in order, which was a good move. It's a good idea that Fegley headed to third where he stands 1 out.
At Yankee Stadium, the last 2 years, an ERA over 8. He's got a contract that runs through next year. It's always a tough spot. A guy who's been so good his whole career, struggling, and you know that he's going to be around next year as well. First pitch in for a strike to Simeon.
And there are certain guys who are starters, and some guys can start and relieve. But if you're a starter and really have never relieved, you got to find a way. You know, make your 34, 35 starts and figure it out. And Larry Rothschild, former manager, great pitching coach, was brought in to try to figure out some things about some of these pitchers.
Last year, Sabathia made just 8 starts. He had a knee problem, and it ended up putting him on the disabled list, and he missed a lot of the season. But he got the right knee fixed.
Wow, how about this?
So Brian Mitchell starts to throw with 1 out in the second inning, and Sabathia in trouble. He's given up 4 hits in this inning, 5 hits in the game already. Active wins leader.
I thought he might at one time be the next and possibly the only one of the group to win 300.
There's a line drive right into the glove of Perella. So another hard hit ball for an out. Remember, the double play in the first inning was a line drive. So Sabathia fooling nobody right now.
Good approach by Marcus Semien, just happened to be the old Adam ball. You know, you mentioned about the knee injury he had last year, and there was some talk that maybe might be difficult for him to even come back and continue to pitch, and you just wonder coming back how much that is affected. It's got to be frustrating, especially with the 3-8 record.
Sabathia's last start was at the Angels. Gave up 4 earned runs in 7 1/3 innings and lost 4-1. So 0-2 to Burns, who singled leading off the game. Fegley at third, Canna at first. And the pitch to Burns is hit in the air to shallow center. Gregorius out. And Gregorius makes the catch. Made it a bit more difficult than it looked, but the A's get 2 runs on 4 hits. So we're going to the bottom of the second. A's 2, Yankees nothing. Sportsnet California brought to you by PG&E. Together, building a better California. See the clouds overhead. A's with an early 2-0 lead over the Yankees. Bottom of the second inning.
The high price seats down there.
Yeah. Plenty of room.
In those seats.
Yep. Chris Young to lead it off. Young, Murphy, and Gregorius, the 5, 6, and 7 hitters in the Yankees lineup. Casimir trying to get a shutdown inning. As he jumps ahead of Chris Young 0-2.
Scott Casimir is a Houston native, and it is hot and humid there, but I don't care where you're from, what kind of life you've had growing up. You pitch in this kind of weather, it is humid.
Yeah.
And that takes its toll. So as quickly as you can get outs and get back to the dugout, it's much better. And these dugouts now are air conditioned, so you can sit and enjoy luxury in between innings and hope your offense scores a lot. You can stay in the dugout a lot. They're in the air conditioning vents. I mean, if they don't have air conditioning in this Taj Mahal, something's wrong. You got everything here.
There you go. It's a good move. And it does feel good when you walk through that dugout.
It does.
You
Or
can
especially
really
if you sit
it.
down there with that vent.
You don't want to get up off that bench, because as soon as you get up and you walk up the steps onto the field,
Oh, yeah.
the warm weather hits you. Home run last night. Feeling good.
Got to stretch a little bit. Yeah, he'll always stretch.
Got to talk a little bit.
I check on that one. Oh, wow.
If Brett Lawrie couldn't stretch or talk,
yeah,
he wouldn't have anything to do. 3-2 pitch is hit hard. Lawrie knocks it down, scoops it up, throws, and it's not in time. A very hard hit ball. And the unfortunate thing for Lawrie is it just rolled away from him a little bit too far, and he had to take a couple steps to get it.
Well, and the fact that he grabbed it with his glove, he came up with it with his glove, which was good, but Chris Young runs too well. And took that last bad hop, and he's going to be given an error. So it would not be a normal game without at least one in the column under the E.
Unfortunately, you are correct. Right? 81 now on the year, and second in this series for the A's. An ongoing problem.
Said it's about now 14 or 15 more than the second.
Yeah, it was 14 going into today. Second is the Rangers. Here's the catcher, John Ryan Murphy.
We look at the bottom four of the batting order. You have Murphy, McCann, of course. McCann, a left-handed hitter with a left-hander pitcher. He's not in there. Gregorius would have been playing as he did last night as a shortstop, but Drew and Headley not in the lineup tonight. A couple of lefties.
Line toward Burns. Burns coming in, dives. He's got it. So Murphy hit that one on the nose, but a nice play by Burns.
But I'm only saying it about the guys who normally would be in the lineup because anytime you talk about guys with batting averages where the bottom 3 or 4 are, you're always concerned. This ball knuckled, and that's why Billy Burns went to the headlong dive as it knuckled away from him, and he had to go that direction. A very, very large outfield here, and on top of it, the ball starts knuckling, makes it a little bit more difficult.
So here's Gregorius, who rips one toward right field. Smolinski back. It's over his head. Up against the fence. Here comes Young. They're going to wave him home. Could be a play at the plate. The throw home is high. Gregorius to third, and he is out. So the run scores. The A's get Gregorius at third. So it's a 2-1 game.
Well, yes, the unearned run does score. Gregorius over the head of Smolinski in right field. So it's going to give him a double. Smolinski had the ball, hit it almost to base the wall, but got it back in to Zobrist. Zobrist the high throw, but Fegley with a strong arm jumped and a bullet for third base to get Gregorius, and that's a big out. Because otherwise, if he stops at second, still in scoring position, try to get to third. And so the A's do get him on a very, very good relay. Several throws, and finally to get him with a quick tag at third.
So Gregorius gets his 19th RBI. And this is Jose Perella.
Wow. Of course, that turned out to be very costly. That hesitation, and I don't know if he kind of went on his own once he saw the high throw to the plate over the cutoff man and thought he could make it.
Taps slowly. Zobrist picks it up, and they just get Perella side retired. A run for the Yankees, an unearned run. So we're on to the third. It's the A's 2 and the Yankees 1.
Winning game millions are playing. Download MLB.com Home Run Derby free on the App Store and Google Play. There's a whole bunch of retired numbers up there. Guys could hit home runs. 44, Reginald.
He would have been a good home run derby guy.
Don Mattingly.
Put on a good show.
23. Whose number will be retired next?
Vogt, Zobrist, and Butler here in the third. A 2-1 game. Vogt lined into a double play. That was in the first inning. Vogt was 2 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI last night. He rolls this one just foul. This is the home run derby participants just named. From the American League, Pujols, Machado, Donaldson, and Fielder. From the National League, Bryant, Peterson, Rizzo, and Frazier. So a good field. Our old friend Josh Donaldson will be teeing off.
Well, Prince Fielder would be lifting off. He always lifts off. So that'd be seeing him back in the home run derby.
Gregorius backhands, quickly throws in the infield. Yeah, there's some of the new kids that Jock Peterson,
rookie,
who hit a long ways for the Dodgers. He'll be fun to watch. Todd Frazier having a terrific season for the Reds. Manny Machado's having a good season. Looks like he's fully healthy. So the home run derby has become a very popular part of all-star game festivities.
And since they say it's a bandbox at Great American Ballpark, so maybe that's
sailing there.
Yeah, some warm summer night.
The river will be a busy place out over right field. We were there
a couple years.
Yeah, it's a couple years ago, right? I think it was last year, the year before. And we were just there for a 2-game series at Great American Ballpark, so we did not spend a whole lot of time there.
Got a chance to see the great Marty Brenneman.
Yeah.
He and his son Tom working Marty, the Ford Frick winner, Hall of Famer, on the radio side. Tom, his son, on the TV side.
Pitch to Zobrist, swing, gonna miss, 2-1.
One thing CC Sabathia had done, he kind of hired a chef and was eating well, losing weight, but I think he said to heck with that, put it back on, because it changed everything. And you know, you pitch a certain way, you play a certain way, and you start changing the body makeup, it makes a huge difference. And whenever you take some of that hugeness off, maybe it changes.
Sure.
Release point, arm, where you're releasing the ball.
Zobrist grounded out to the shortstop to end the first inning. Takes down and away. Fastball velocity for CC Sabathia. 2011, 93.8. Last year down to 88 miles per hour. A tick up this year, but last year he had the bad knee. That probably had something to do with that. And you know, we're seeing it. I don't know that we're seeing a dip in velocity from more pitchers now than 10 years ago, but you're seeing it with Verlander. It's become a big thing. Lincecum from the Giants has become a big thing, where guys are losing 5-6 miles per hour off their fastball. But I mean, these guys throw pitches. It's going to at some point have a toll on your arm.
Well, you just named guys who pitch every 5th day, and they throw a lot of pitches. I mean, they now calculate the number of pitches thrown each year. And whenever James Shields and Max Scherzer were free agents in the offseason, they went so far as to compare the number of pitches thrown by both. And Hill would benefit, as Scherzer got a huge contract, bigger than James Shields, because James Shields had thrown more pitches and they figured Scherzer had more left or whatever. But bottom line, you pitch every 5th day, you're going to take the wear and tear in your body. Swung at ball 4.
Going out there is Perella, the second baseman, and he has it. So 2 outs here in the third. Here's our true story, brought to you by McDonald's. June 7th of this year, CC Sabathia strikes out Johnny Giovatello for his 2,500th career strikeout. He then got thrown out. A little bit later in the game, Dan Bellino throws him out for arguing balls and strikes. Now, Sabathia still got the win, but on the day he reaches that milestone, Dan Bellino says, I want to be part of the show.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw you out.
Good set.
Unbelievable.
You know, there's a song about walk away. I just wish it should be prerequisite for every umpire to learn the song. Just walk away.
Or how about read the room? Career strikeouts by left-handed pitchers. CC Sabathia chasing Jerry Koosman. Jerry Koosman, you probably got a base hit off him in the 1973 World Series.
Well, that 73 World Series was brought up in the booth tonight prior to the game. Right, Big Mike? Not you. Come on, Bob. You don't know anything.
Big Mike, our cameraman up here, who's a living legend in New York.
He was talking about Reggie hitting home runs in games 6 and 7.
We have fun with the crew here in New York.
Well, they're Mets and Yankees fans, you know, both in this booth.
I haven't been able to get a vibe of which way they're going as far as what's their favorite team. But
whoever's in first.
Right to Teixeira, who grabs it, steps on the bag, side retired. So a 3-up, 3-down inning for CC Sabathia. Bottom of the third coming up. 2-1 A's lead. There he is. Big Mike. The Godfather. A's 2, Yankees 1, bottom of the third inning. As Kazmir will face Gregorio Petit.
Saw him in Houston, and now he's with the Yankees. So it's former Athletic.
He was acquired by the Yankees from Houston right at the beginning of the season. In fact, right before the season started, April 1st. (0-1) to Petit. 1-1 to Petit, playing third base tonight. Headley with the night off. Ellsbury to follow, and then Gardner. Scott Kazmir, who before the inning started went for that walk behind the pitcher's mound, and he just did it again. Not sure if anything bothering him. Could just be the heat.
Oh, it will take its toll.
And he's doing it again. And I don't know, Ray. He doesn't look quite right to me. I mean, that's the third time in 4 pitches that he's done that. And he did it before he threw a pitch to start this inning. So 2-2 the count. Petit 7 hits in 38 at bats this year. Swing and a miss. Good changeup there from Kazmir. So 1 out here in the third. It's time now for our Geico quote of the game. Sonny Gray on his start last night. Remember, he missed some time. I just felt like as the game went on, I got a little better and better, which was good for me to feel. To give up 2 in the first and be able to get through 7 and give the team a chance to do what we did was something I was really happy about. It did look a little off in that first inning, but
about 26 pitches, and I think we both felt that if he had gotten McCann when he broke his bat with the base hit to left field, if he had been able to get him out, he might have pitched 7 innings of shutout baseball, because after the first innings, when he settled down and had some good innings, would give up 1 more run, and that was a glorious base hit on a first pitch fastball with 2 outs. In fact, the 3 runs he gave up all came with 2 outs.
He ended up throwing 110 pitches. Hot, muggy weather.
Well, I think John Hirschbeck behind the plate last night, it might have been a different story. I was talking to Stephen Bode, and I commended Stephen on the way he approached some questionable calls last night, because he kept his face towards the pitcher. And he said there were a few. And he said got through it and just kind of worked through it. Stephen, of course, at first base tonight, but behind the plate last night. And with a day game tomorrow. While Sonny will be watching the game, Stephen Bolt will be behind the plate catching Jesse Chavez. And Tanaka will be on the mound for the Yankees.
Count stays 1-2 to Jacoby Ellsbury, who hit a fly ball to left field in the first.
Spent a lot of money for Jacoby Ellsbury, and Boston Red Sox, and one of the few that actually has played for both teams, the Red Sox and the Yankees, 2 teams that don't really like each other.
No.
And I think, as we talked last year when Jacoby Ellsbury had signed with the Yankees, and listen, if you can get the money, do it. But you think about the money that he got and the length of the contract, you're wanting somebody to hit 30 home runs.
You would think.
And, you know, he's changed dynamics a little bit, where he'll steal some bases, but just kind of a different type of hitter for the Yankees. But again, more power to him.
He got a 7-year deal.
Yeah, for a whole bunch.
But I think you could. Listen, Jacoby Ellsbury is a very good player. Right now, who would you rather have, Brett Gardner or Jacoby Ellsbury?
Brett Gardner, because he really can do as much, if not more. I agree. I was thinking the same thing.
And that, I mean, what we're saying is they're both really good players. Yes. And Brett Gardner got a long-term extension, but nothing like 7 years, $140 million.
But he wasn't a free agent. He was a homegrown product, so he stayed here and signed here. And no, I agree. He can play center. He can probably hit more home runs. He can steal bases. It's kind of the igniter of the ball club. But it's not like the Yankees were changing their dynamics. I mean, they still want left-handed hitters, but that guy, number 7, he could do it all. Mickey Mantle, and left-handed hitter, could hit home runs at the old Yankee Stadium. I mean, you just think of the Yankees as being the Bronx Bombers, guys who hit home runs. And it was a little bit strange to see Jacoby Ellsbury, not necessarily him wanting to sign with the Yankees, but the fact that the Yankees did sign him and committed that kind of contract.
1-2 to Gardner, who had a base hit in the first. Slaps that one foul. So what you're saying is, you have Gardner, so you have the speed center field type player. Maybe spending that much money, spend it on somebody who hits the ball at the ballpark, if there's somebody there to spend it on. Change up, but it stays high, so the count 2-2.
Really, Chase Headley was given a contract extension because that guy can't play defense. Alex Rodriguez has to be the DH, so I guess he could play a little bit first base or at least try. But he's pretty much an exclusive DH, and they will probably be that for the remainder of his contract. So Headley was given a multi-year deal because they need a third baseman. Teixeira has a few years left on his contract.
And Teixeira will be a free agent after next year. So he's got this year and next year. Rodriguez has 2 more years after this year.
Wow.
And Gardner, pretty good at bat, takes the walk. Carlos Beltran is on the disabled list. So he's the only guy on the disabled list now that's they're going to try to get back. Say in the next, starting after the 2016 season, some of these huge contracts that the Yankees have given out, they're going to start to come to an end. And we're talking about Sabathia and Teixeira and Rodriguez, names like that.
Well, that's $75 million. So yeah, it adds up, and the Yankees' payment to the luxury tax is more than most teams' salaries. See the team salaries.
Well, this year the Yankees payroll $213 million, which is second in all of baseball behind the Dodgers, who quite a bit north of that. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2.
Got him with a changeup, then came back with a good fastball. A little bit up, but got it.
So Kazmir ahead in the count, about to throw pitch number 50. And he got him swinging. Another fastball. So for the second time tonight, Alex Rodriguez strikes out. On to the fourth. 2-1 A's. Who else but Brett Lawrie from last night? Remember his first 3 at bats? Strike out, strike out, strike out. And then you're down 0-2 in the count to maybe the guy with the most nasty stuff in the league. And you hit a home run. That was pretty awesome.
That was good. It just changed the whole night from a golden sombrero to a game-winning home run in the 10th inning.
In fact, it's interesting. The A's last night had 8 hits total in the game. They had 2 hits in the last 5 innings, and both were home runs. Butler tied it. Laurie gave him the lead. He belts this one in the air toward Gardner and left. And he's got it.
In fact, those 2 home runs came against the bullpen. One against Shreve. That was Butler, the one that you mentioned. And then Laurie got Betances, and that's it.
And Joe Girardi was under some heat today as he took Nathan Eovaldi out with.
Not out to dinner either. He just took him out of the game in the 6th inning.
He took him out with 1 out in the 6th inning. He had just retired a hitter. He had retired 9 out of the last 10. He was at 86 pitches. Reddick was coming up, and Joe Girardi took him out. And it caught all of us by surprise a little bit.
Well, Reddick had hit the ball hard that night, last night, and that's why Girardi said he had a fresh bullpen and decided to bring him in. And they did a great job, except for 2 pitches.
My only thing with that, and I mean, certainly this is hindsight, right? But I think if you have a young pitcher who's talented like Eovaldi, I do think he can learn some things from pitching a little bit deeper into the game.
Exactly.
I mean, he's plenty strong. 86 pitches, really not. The pitch count was not the issue.
Well, and some of the guys were talking about the fact that he could throw 97, 98, but yet threw a lot of breaking pitches, just like Betances did when he threw to Brett Laurie.
And the walk to Smolinski with 1 out.
Patient at bat for Jake Smolinski, and I was talking to Jake and introduced myself to him yesterday, and I said, Jake, I want to apologize to your parents, to you. I said there's so many players last year for the Rangers. I mistook you for somebody else and somebody else for you, and I said it. I know the parents were a little bit upset, but I was the one that did it. I admit it, and he said, don't worry about it. He said, my parents will be watching every game. So if the Smolinskis are watching, great to have your son with the ball club.
You know what? If you do it, I do it. We're together, Ray. We're in this together.
He's a nice young man. Happy to have him. And, you know, really, we talked last year with so many players injured for the Rangers. Other players got a chance to play.
There was a bunch.
A bunch of them. But some of those guys, with the healthy guys coming, or the players coming back healthy, they had to find other homes. And he's ended up getting Smolinski. He had a great time at Nashville, and that's why he's up here whenever Chris Bassett made a couple of starts and was sent to AAA. So Jake Smolinski, who his first home run against the A's last year at the Coliseum.
Yeah, I remember that series.
Exactly.
And he had a couple big hits against the A's.
That's what Bob Melvin said. He had some big games against the Athletics and really getting a chance to play and prove that he could play at this level. And the A's are fortunate to have him.
Well, I just hope that the Smolinskis will accept your apology and just allow us to come into their home every night. That's all we're asking. He was hot.
Yeah.
Those are the combined AAA numbers.
You know, I saw him. He said, your hair is different. What's wrong? And he said, I had a mohawk last year. And I said, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But yeah, he's right-handed, power hitter, can swing the bat, and could be a good addition to this ball club because the A's have a lot of lefties.
So 2-2 to Fegley. Fegley had an RBI hit in the 2nd inning. They're setting up inside, and the pitch up and away, but Fegley swings and misses. So Sabathia away from the target, but he still gets the strikeout. That's his first strikeout tonight.
I don't know, Cap, did you notice that John Hirschbeck, when Murphy moved inside, watch John Hirschbeck, watch this. He's going to move behind the hitter.
Well, he is.
He can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost too far.
Well, exactly.
Boy, oh boy.
I mean, for a pitch outside, he stays in that slot, but it's kind of hilarious because you're saying, well, where's the umpire?
He's behind the hitter.
Yeah.
And he moves.
But you go back to last inning with Zobrist and Butler. Zobrist swung at ball 4. Butler swung at ball 3. Both made outs. And Fegley just swung at ball 3. So CC Sabathia is, you know, he's a veteran. But if you swing at strikes, you obviously have a better chance. And some of the hitters seem to be helping a little bit with pitches that they're swinging at out of the strike zone.
Ellsbury takes care of a loose baseball out there. So 0-1 to Canha. He had an RBI hit in the second inning. He's got 2 runs on 4 hits in that second inning. Breaking ball down and in. 57 pitches for Sabathia. Trying to win his 4th game.
Well, with Mitchell warming up in the second inning, when the A's scored a couple, had a chance to score more. And you have to think Joe Girardi is hoping every inning is a good one for CC Sabathia because he's got a strong back of the bullpen. Yeah, something's right. Yeah, that says it all right there. And Kipe, you're right on and watching Kazmir walking behind the mound. And also after 1 out, looked out, it was Fegley and Laurie both talking to him on the mound. He did get through the inning. But we'll see if it goes out for the bottom of the 4th.
1-2 pitch. Gregorius to second, side retired. So we'll see if Scott Kazmir does come out. If not, it'll be Scribner. A's do not score in the top of the 4th.
Is presented by authority of the Oakland Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
A's leading 2-1, bottom of the 4th inning from Yankee Stadium. Few darker clouds above us now. So, as we thought, Kazmir is out of the game. Evan Scribner's in when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change tune-up, and Smog experts.
Maybe it's something about New York.
That's right.
Last year, Scott pitched against his former team, the Mets, and that didn't go very well. As a matter of fact, he had starts which he won against the Yankees, but not here. But Al Leiter, who works in the booth next to us for the Yankees.
Scared me coming in here.
Well, he came in and he said, he's got traded.
He's got traded.
I said, no, he didn't. He said, yes, he did.
Easy, Al.
I know. He said, I'm going to go back and say he got traded. I said, you go say it then, Al, because I'm going to repeat what you just said.
I don't think that's the case. But who knows? We love Al.
Yeah, he's a good man.
He was dead serious, too. 50
oh, yeah.
pitches right on the button. So 1 run, it was unearned, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. So when we hear what the deal is with Kazmir, we will pass it on.
Well, the thing that Al Leiter, of course, a very good left-handed pitcher himself, he came in and he said he just blew A-Rod away. What's wrong? He said he just threw a fastball by him, and then he's out of the game. So we'll get an announcement, I'm sure, from the clubhouse if something is indeed wrong, and we hope whatever it is that it's okay, or he's okay. So Evan Scribner looking for some length. Jesse Chavez is pitching tomorrow. There is Al Leiter along with Michael Kay. And they're discussing right now, Kazmir.
He got traded.
Michael Kay on the left and the great Al Leiter.
That one's hit a ton.
Well, it's too bad.
This one is gone. So the bugaboo for Scribner this year has been the home run, and he just gave up another one.
And you know the problem, Kaib, is that was a 2-strike fastball. It was out of the strike zone. But when Mark Teixeira looks for fastball, he can hit it. They wanted a high fastball. He got it. But that pitch up and away, and you talk about liftoff, that's what Mark Teixeira can do. And this was not a cheapie. That hit the back of the lower area. Number 21 and 60 runs batted in. And a healthy Mark Teixeira hit a pitch that was out of the strike zone. And Fegley, you see him put up the target. And he hit it.
So Scribner has now given up 10 home runs in 42 innings. He faces Chris Young. So 3-0 to Chris Young with John Ryan Murphy to follow. For Teixeira, that was career home run number 384.
We showed last night the list of home runs visiting players have hit against the A's. And I mean, again, to be able to hit a fastball at that location, the height of it.
Yeah, that ball was out of the strike zone. I think Scribner was a little hacked off after that. You could tell he looked like he was rushing to Young a little bit, maybe overthrowing.
And that's why Bob Melvin went out. Of course, the skipper running out himself to impart his words and maybe just trying to relax him a little bit, because I think you're right. He actually threw the pitch where his catcher wanted it. In fact, they tried to go up the ladder a little bit. Well, Mark Teixeira, if he looks fastball, he can expand the zone as well as anybody.
So here's Murphy, who lined out to Burns in center in the second inning. Swinging and a miss. 0-1.
One good thing for the Athletics, Cap, and we have talked about, and especially since Fernando Abad evidently injured himself doing some conditioning, but he seems to be healthy. Pomeranz is healthy. And O'Flaherty. So for Joe Girardi, he has an abundance of lefties on the bench. Just a question of when he's going to bring them in. And when he does, the A's counter with the lefties in the bullpen. Because this is a bullpen game now for the Athletics, with Scribner coming into the fourth inning. Pomeranz did a great job last night. And of course, Abad indicating that he's okay. Was not over the weekend, but now he's fine. O'Flaherty.
Fouled at the plate. It got a piece of the home plate umpire, Hirschbeck.
Like it got him on the leg, and Fegley's going to give him a little bit extra time. Another cut fastball that stayed down. Oops.
Let's hope John Hirschbeck's all right. He's okay. So 1-2. Gregorius, a left-handed hitter, waits in the on-deck circle. So what did we get? left tricep
tightness
for Scott Kazmir. So left tricep tightness.
I guess you could say he was trying to walk it off as he kept walking off the mound towards second base.
Yeah, he just did not look quite right.
But the amazing thing, his fastball is 93, 94. And he did strike out Rodriguez with a high fastball.
Close pitch, and now 3-2. Did that a couple times on the mound. And the runner was going. Young dives back. Young has good speed.
Fegley's got a cannon, so if you get a strike him out, might get to throw him out as well.
And he runs. And the ball's hit, backhanded, off the glove of Simeon. Tolori, who thought about throwing, decides not to. And Murphy's aboard. Hard hit ball to the backhand of Simeon.
Well, with Young going and Murphy making contact, that is a base hit, and rightfully so. That's a hard hit ball. And
ooh, nasty hop.
Oh, very bad. Matter of fact, Simeon was looking back at the area, hit it so hard over to Brett Lawrie.
Yeah, I think he would have made that play, but that ball really came up.
Hey, he might have turned a double play if he comes up with it cleanly, but that's how bad of a hop it was.
So here's Gregorius, who doubled in a run in the second. He's actually had a lot of good swings in this series. Didi Gregorius hitting just 245, but see what happens with 2 on and nobody out. Jose Pirelli, the on-deck hitter. First pitch is a fastball for a strike. So homer walk single here in the bottom of the fourth, and this game is tied.
Well, sometimes a manager has to make a decision, especially if the starting pitcher is not able to pitch. And I'm sure the Yankees, looking at this series, especially the way Gray pitched last night, considering coming off illness, and knowing Scott Kazmir has been pitching extremely well for the Athletics, pitching tonight, they had to be thinking it's going to be a tough outing. And what happens, Scott, I think in a situation like that where a team will say, wow, he's out of the game in the third inning after 3 innings. And it changes a lot as far as their approach at the plate. And Girardi will leave his right-handers in as long as possible, but knowing he has a lot of power on the bench to come in late.
Outfield plays Gregorius to pull a little bit. And he chased the breaking ball again, and he strikes out.
Well, good curveballs, back-to-back good curveballs in the dirt, and Gregorius just trying to make contact. No contact, though, as pitches in the dirt. You know, we talk about Scribner and the home runs he's given up. You think about also the fact that he learned to cut fastball. Sometimes the cutter takes away from velocity of a fastball location. You kind of rely on the cutter, and I mean, while it's a good pitch, kind of a different pitch for him. Oh my.
And the runner goes. He had a huge jump, and he'll make it. One more look, and Young is picked off, but Scribner did not look back. And by the time the pitch was released, Chris Young was 2/3 of the way to third base. So a stolen base, first and third. So that's a big 90 feet with only 1 out.
Well, and to your point, Corral taking the pitch, did not swing. You can see the jump that Young got. Now the A's will have to try to get a double play.
A 1 to Pirella, right there outside corner, 0-2. Pirella grounded out to second in the second. Nice block. And now Fegley can't find it, and that's going to allow Murphy to go to second base. So the ball just rolled away, and it's got to be an uncomfortable feeling for the catcher when you can't find it.
Especially you're looking in front and the ball is behind you, and everybody's going to point, which does absolutely no good. And by the time he does find it, Murphy in the second. Now the infield's going to have to play in. Now Scribner's going to have to try to get a strikeout, and maybe that same curveball will get strikeout as it did to Gregorius.
Infield in. And the pitch is hit high in the air, right center. Plenty deep. Smolinski's going to grab it. Run comes in to score. So a sacrifice fly for Perella, and the Yankees have taken a 3-2 lead.
And you can't tell me hitters don't always look fastball, even with 2 strikes and even with the great curveball that he's throwing. Now, he did bounce the curveball before, but I think maybe that was the cutter that he got under a little bit instead of on top. So stolen base by Young. That turned out to be huge because he walked to third, and that fly ball would not have scored him had he stayed at second. So there's a big difference in really not paying attention to the runner at second.
And Murphy also tagged up, went second to third, and here's Gregorio Petit. Petit struck out swinging in the third inning. Tapped slowly. Vogt has it. Scribner steps on the bag. Side retired. Couple of runs for the Yankees, including Mark Teixeira's 21st home run of the year. Yankees now lead 3-2 at the end of 4. California is brought to you by Roaring Camp Railroads. Kick up your heels at Roaring Camp's free heritage events all summer long. So 3-2 Yankees now lead thanks to the 2-spot. Bottom of the 4th. Top of the 5th, Simeon, Burns, and Vogt. CC Sabathia has retired 8 out of the last 9. This one hit in the air, right field. Young backs up, and a couple steps onto the warning track. He makes the catch. 1 out. The Tigers and the Mariners played an afternoon game in Seattle, mid-afternoon game. And it was the rubber game of that series, and the Tigers won 5-4. So the Mariners now 39-46 after that loss. Seattle will stay at home, and they will host the Angels for a 4-game series starting tomorrow. Burns with a base hit to left field on the first pitch.
And there's your infielder, third baseman playing in, anticipating a bunt. Gregorio Petit could not make the dive, and CC Sabathia gave up one of Billy Burns' 2 home runs, and this ball hit hard, very sharply past the diving Petit. So that's the speed, forcing the infield to play in.
So Vogt steps up with Zobrist in the on-deck circle. Burns 17 steals.
CC at his first at bat used the slide step, as he just did with Billy Burns at first.
Vogt has grounded out to short and lined into a double play. Burns not running, and the ball is hit in the air. Center field sending Ellsbury back. That's out number 2. So Zobrist will hit. Interesting note on Sabathia. He's walked 1 tonight, and he struck out 1. He now has allowed the same amount of home runs as walks.
Wow.
He's walked 19 and allowed 19 home runs. Almost doesn't sound possible. Almost wants you to double check to make sure I'm not just making up these numbers. No, I'm not. 19 home runs allowed. Good pitch there with a fastball, 89 miles an hour, but on the inside.
Well, he did 2 things. He froze Billy Burns at first, and also kind of froze Zobrist at the plate. 2001, 2011. That's why people thought maybe it'd be the next 300-game winner, 176 wins.
Overall, he is 211 and 127. And with the Yankees, he's 94 and 54. This is his 7th year here in New York. Remember when he got traded to the Brewers, and he was only in Milwaukee for 2 months, but the Brewers had not been to the postseason in a very long time. They had a very good team, and they needed that horse, and they traded for him in 2008. He did not stay there, but the Brewers said one of the best trades we've ever made, because he brought excitement. They got to the postseason, and it made baseball important in Milwaukee. And really, you think about since then, I mean, their attendance has always been very good, and before that, their attendance was not that great.
You know, and the one thing he did for that franchise, he pitched on 3 days rest.
Yeah. And
he really sacrificed the potential free agent contract to help them win, because he could have said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he took it right down to the wire and did everything he could to help them.
Now, they lost to the Phillies in the postseason, but just the fact that he helped the Brewers get there when they hadn't been there in a long time, and it really revived baseball in the Milwaukee area. And I remember him saying that he really enjoyed it there, even though he was there a very short time. 3-2, Burns will run, and Zobrist takes low.
Now that's a good take, because, as I mentioned, his previous at bat when he popped up to second, it's a high fastball. Bends over this time with a pitch low, able to take it. Now looking for a Billy Butler 2-out hit to drive in a run.
So see if Butler can get a 2-out hit. He doubled in the second, and he popped out to first in the third. So 1 for 2 tonight, 1 for 4 last night. Of course, the big home run last night and tied the game.
First pitch fastball from Shreve, and see if he looks fastball again first pitch, and see what CC thinks about throwing him the first pitch fastball.
It was the first pitch, fastball, but a bit outside.
Ambush last night, Shreve, and this would tie the game. And Evaldi at that point got a no decision. He had a chance to win it, but not lose it. And Billy Butler, been a while for him, but came through big time last night, trying to do something again at this bat. Doesn't have to be a home run, just a base hit.
Breaks his bat, shallow center. Ellsbury coming in, he's going to get there. So the A's strand a pair. They get a single and a walk, nothing else. Bottom of the 5th coming up, and the Yankees will have the top of their order. Use hashtag CSNCA Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's all brought to you by T-Mobile. So a hot, humid night after a little bit of rain in New York this afternoon. It's the Yankees 3, it's the A's 2, bottom of the 5th inning. Scott Kazmir left with some bicep tendonitis, tricep tendonitis actually, tightness, and that was after 3 innings. So Scribner into his 2nd inning of work, tricep tightness. So Ellsbury, Gardner, and Alex Rodriguez here in the 5th inning. 1 in the 2nd and 2 in the 4th for the Yankees.
Last night a 1-run game. The A's won a 1-run game in extra innings. They've been 0-6 in extra innings, and they finally won one last night, and just trying to stay close again tonight. Betances was used an inning and 2/3 last night, but Miller is back, so he's back in the setup role as Betances. I guess if you're a reliever, you don't have to spend a lot of time on your rehab assignment because you don't need to build up your arm strength that much anyway.
And Miller did not.
Yeah.
Right there, strike 3 called. So Ellsbury's called out on strikes.
There's a case if the hitter peeked and saw that the catcher had set up outside, and that's where Fegley was. This pitch right down the middle. And if Fegley had missed it, it would hit the left kneecap of John Hirschbeck. That's how right down the middle it was.
So 2nd strikeout for Scribner. And that'll bring up Brett Gardner, who has singled and walked Laurie in on the grass. Vote in a couple steps at first. Foul, straight back. The The Astros and the Indians are tied 2-2 in the 5th inning in Cleveland. That's game 3 of a 4-game series. Each team has won a game so far. Straley for Houston, Bauer for the Indians. Those two teams will play a night game tomorrow in Cleveland. So as we fly in, they'll be just about underway or close to it.
Drop you off just in time to head over there.
That's right.
Progressive
Get
field.
over there.
Show your press pass. Walk in. Front row.
We're going to do it. 2-pitch fastball high. Diamondbacks and the Rangers are underway. 1-0 Arizona in the 2nd inning. Hellickson for Arizona. And Matt Harrison back, making his first start for the struggling Rangers, who have lost 4 in a row. In the air, shallow right. Smolinski is there.
Cap, I don't know if you saw the at-bat of Bauer against the Pirates. He had a great at-bat, ended up walking, but he copied the stances of 3 players. I thought it was funny. Aviles got Kipnis, Aviles, and one other player. It was funny.
And what did he say? He said he's a terrible hitter.
Yeah, he said he ends up walking.
Yeah, I don't have a style anyway, so I have a little fun with it.
Yeah.
And you got to walk.
So that was the American League pitcher going to National League Park and pouring down rain.
That's a good idea.
He ends up walking him, and it just mattered who walked. Actually, was it Aviles, Kipnis?
Alex Rodriguez takes outside. On to Cleveland tomorrow after the day game.
Only trip to Cleveland, Ohio, downtown Cleveland. No more Mistake by the Lake. It's more uptown a little bit. Nice progressive field, formerly Jacobs Field, which they should have kept the name. But they did. Nothing against Progressive, but I mean, Mr. Jacobs is the one who built it. Might as well keep his name on it.
I agree. Or we can just call it the Wigwam.
That's right. Only Bob Feller's not there to welcome us all into the Wigwam anymore. Late Bob Feller. There's the cut fastball. That was a good one because it took a little bit, just a luff off, but had nice movement. Watch this cut on this ball right there. And Alex Rodriguez looking fastball. Got it, but the cut fastball.
Inside, 3-1. Rodriguez has struck out looking and struck out swinging. He hits this one to center. Burns back. He's got room, and he makes the catch. So 3 up, 3 down inning for Scribner, and we're going to the top of the 6th. Yankees 3, A's 2. Coors The Banquet beer. On this date in 1974, A's outfielder Claudell Washington, making his first start in the major leagues at the age of 19, hits a walk-off single in the 10th inning to give the A's a 4-3 victory over the Indians. Claudell Washington.
You know,
so Laurie to lead it off.
You know, that game that you referenced, that was against Gaylord Perry.
Was it really? Oh, that's right.
Because
I remember that because Gaylord was 15-0 or something, right?
You know where I was? UC Medical Center waiting for surgery.
Really?
Yeah, that's when I had my neck surgery, and Dr. Charles Wilson, UC Medical Center. I was there, and Claudell Washington, Charlie Finley called me and said, you know, you're going to be out a couple weeks. We're going to bring this kid up from Birmingham.
Really?
And Claudell Washington. And I never got my job back.
Huh.
And I was lying in the hospital waiting for surgery the next morning for the shattered 6-7 vertebrae.
Great.
Yeah.
I am.
That's a timeless moment, all right.
Yeah, forget the banquet beer.
Oh, I remember it just like it happened 20 years ago or 40 years ago.
I'm kind of bummed out now.
Oh, yeah, it's about this time.
Oh, Laurie's up.
Don't worry about it. Okay. Just one of many. One of many, so that's all right.
But I remember because at 74 we were
going for 16
Indians,
in a row.
Right?
Yeah.
And he was 15-0 or 15-1.
I think he's going for 16 straight.
Yeah.
And 16 straight.
It was a close game, and Claudell Washington got a hit off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember it.
3-2 to Laurie. Fouled straight back.
But seriously, Claudell Washington, of course, Bay Area product. He never played high school baseball, and he had shoulders.
Yeah,
looked like a clothes hanger. I mean, he had fast, and I mean, unbelievable. But Charlie was like that. Charlie, hey, give me a call. So we'll bring this kid up while you're on the disabled list. And of course, the next year that kid played left field. Joe Riddy played first base. Gene Tennis caught. I sat in the bullpen. Now, Claudell was great. I mean, he was an excellent player, and just one of those things. He got the opportunity, and he took advantage of it. And that's what players do when players go on the disabled list. And go back there. Jake Smoletsky found out last year he got a chance with the Rangers, and now the A's have it.
3-2 is tapped slowly toward the second baseman. Varela charged it. And Claudell Washington ended up having a good career. He played with quite a few teams.
Yeah.
He played with the Yankees for a while. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I want to say Claudell Washington hit the 10,000th home run in Yankee history at the old Metrodome.
Really?
And they threw the ball back in. You know, it's one of those, it's a visiting team, we're going to throw it in. And I want to say that was the one.
It's in the showcase downstairs.
That's right. It was thrown back. They said, thank you very much. We were looking for that ball. And but yeah, Claudell was a great player, and he could fly. So, and Claudell's still in the Bay Area. Haven't seen him in a while. Good man, though.
Smoletsky has reached on a fielder's choice, walked, and scored a run. It's this one, high and foul down the right field line. So 1-1. Sabathia about to throw pitch number 83.
So yeah, it's amazing how good some of those pitches looked, and the number of pitches that have been swung out of the strike zone tonight is mind-boggling. And actually, it's helping CC Sabathia as he's pitching with one out in the 6th inning. Second inning, the A's had an opportunity. They did score 2, but remember they had the first and third, only one out. Line drive by Simeon prevented another run from scoring. Last night the A's won an extra innings, but they also had the 3rd inning in which they had runners on base and nobody out, couldn't score. Ended up having actually first and third in that weird double play where Drew caught the ball, ended up doubling up Reddick.
Just missed on a very close pitch. 3-2 to Smolinski with Fegley to follow.
Well, the backdoor breaking ball, and while John Hirschbeck will call them, then this one more or less coming around the plate. Murphy caught it in the strike zone, but that ball had to go around the plate to get to him.
So the payoff pitch, here it is, and it's reached for, popped up down the right field line. Chris Young a long run, and Chris Young slides, and he may not have had to slide, although sometimes an outfielder will do that so he doesn't crash into the sidewall, but
he could have run parallel to the wall. Actually, if he just started to make a left turn, right turn, and
he slid a little too early.
Slid too early, and once you go on a slide, there's where you start losing the ball and having to reach back, and your momentum with the slides carrying you past the baseball. But if he just made a right turn, gone really adjacent to the foul line, he might have been able to catch it standing up. Great effort.
So another opportunity for Smolinski. Setting up inside, and it is inside, and it's bounced into the dugout. The bat boy made the play. So another 3-2 pitch coming up. And it's lined to left, and that's a base hit. Boy, what an at bat for Jake Smolinski. So he's been on base all 3 times.
Got a changeup, 3-2, kept his bat back enough to get the base hit. So you're right, a very good at bat, especially with a 3-2 changeup. And Joe Girardi, that might have been it for CC, as effectively the right-hander is coming up. And Jake Smolinski fouled off a couple of pitches. And finally gets the base hit. Got speed at first base, and that's it for CC.
So 5 1/3 tonight for Sabathia. Pitched pretty well, as he will hand it over to the bullpen. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts.
The 1990s on 90s Music Fireworks Night, presented by Chevron Advantage Credit Card. Friday, July the 31st. Fans can watch the post-game fireworks show from the outfield grass, but you know, as always, on-field capacity is limited. Get your tickets today at athletics.com/fireworks.
So Sabathia, 88 pitches. Gives up a couple of earned runs. Just 1 strikeout, but he leaves with the Yankees leading. So Brian Mitchell comes in, just his 5th appearance. He's been up and down a couple times, minor leagues to the big leagues. Brian Mitchell.
The another power arm out of the Yankees bullpen. Mid to upper 90s. He'll throw a cutter also. So like Matanzas, more of a bridge, if you will, to get to the back end of the bullpen. But he throws hard. Fegley stays in the game.
And the first pitch, 94 miles an hour inside. That's Jason Shreve, who gave up the home run to Butler last night. Smolinski, the runner at first, and Fegley hits it foul down the right field line. Mitchell was a 16th round draft pick in 2009 of the Yankees from North Carolina.
Fegley can turn a fastball, and it is just the 6th inning. While Melbourne does have some lefties on the bench since lefty Sabathia started.
Roll foul. And that, what you just said there, Ray, is going to be kind of an interesting strategic decision for both managers the rest of this game, because the A's have pretty good bats, as you said, from the left side. The Yankees have 4 left-handed relievers now, with Miller off the disabled list. Capuano, Wilson, Shreve, and Miller. We saw Wilson and Shreve, both are very tough left-handers. Saw them last night. Slider, got him looking. Sweeping slider catches the outside corner.
It was sweeping, and it caught a line of the plate, and that's Fegley looking for something more to the inner part of the plate. Instead, Mitchell goes to the outside, and a good pitch. Can freeze a hitter. That's a great pitch.
So that'll bring up Canna. Canna with an RBI single and a ground out. The interesting thing with Canna this year is he's actually hit a lot better against right-handed pitching than he has left-handed pitching. He's hit .302 against righties, .132 against lefties. Does not have a home run versus left-handed pitcher. So he's fine hitting against Brian Mitchell. And that one right to the backstop, and Smolinski will go to second base.
Well, sometimes a catcher can only try to backhand, but if you set up in a way where you can move laterally, you don't necessarily have to try to backhand a ball. And that time Murphy kind of got back on his heels, where all he could do was try to backhand it, and that's a very tough way to block a ball. So the A's with a break, looking for a 2-out hit, as they have a couple of times tonight. CC is the pitcher of record, as was Eovaldi last night after going 5 1/3.
Well, the A's tied it in the 6th last night.
Yeah.
Trying to do it again tonight. And right now, pitcher and catcher do not seem to be on the same page. Rothschild, the pitching coach, is going to come out.
And he may be saying exactly what you said. Mark Canha can hit right-handers, so be careful. You have 2-0 count. You got another right-hander in the on-deck circle, Marcus Semien. And so what they do with Mark Canha, because he has been swinging the bat well against righties. Marcus Semien playing every day. Larry Rothschild almost could read his lips and said to Murphy, "What happened?"
And I think that is exactly what he said.
So maybe what happened, what are you talking about? Because Murphy behind the plate, once the runner got second, he just reminded Mitchell, runner at second, multiple signs. So we'll see if it becomes more of a strategy move now with the count of 2-0. First base is open.
So So 2-0. Canna, see if he gets a pitch to hit. Misses outside. 3-0. On deck is Simeon.
Would he take a chance and throw him a fastball 3-0? And if he did, McKenna be ready to swing. Probably the most predictable pitch is the 3-0. Look, fastball if you get it. But he shouldn't throw him one if he's trying to pitch him carefully.
Not close. So Canna with the walk, and it'll be up to Simeon.
Cap, I think that's what Larry Rothschild wanted to talk to him about. Once the wild pitch occurred, put in the tying run at second. Maybe not taking a chance giving in to Canna because of his numbers. And we know they all know the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
It's lefty Shreve.
Simeon a line out and a fly ball to right field. First pitch spins inside. So Simeon 1 for 6 in this series. Right now, Brian Mitchell out of the bullpen, not real sharp. He did get the strikeout of Fegley, but he walked Canna. Missed again. 2-0. And we're going to have another meeting. That says it all right there.
Yeah, you got a pitching coach and a manager, and just trying to keep your composure and not show actually what you're feeling and thinking inside.
Tell you, managers and coaches are very good at doing it.
Yeah, they are.
Covering it up. And you got the call there. Didn't have to be.
Well, this has been a strike most of the night, and not a bad take. It's not a pretty good, not a very good pitch to hit. They're shading Simeon to right field.
Just a bit high, and now it's 3-1. Burns would be next.
KV's throwing nothing but fastballs, and this is the time for Marcus Simeon maybe to expand his zone a little bit, at least gear up and look fastball and try to drive it. Maybe both runners can score, hitting the ball in a gap, but I figure he's going to stay hard.
And a fastball hit high and foul down the right field line. So now it's 3-2. Runners will be taken off on the pitch. Would he throw him that sweeping slider that he threw Fegley?
You know, I think he's thrown 5 fastballs, and I think he's going to challenge him. And you know, as a hitter, you have to commit one way or the other. If you kind of get in between and try to wait, you're going to go to right field. But if you load up, look fastball, which he probably could have and should have done a little bit more on the 3-1, this becomes more of a questionable pitch.
Here it is, and it's hit hard, but right at the second baseman, Perella, who handles a tricky hop, throws in time. So Mitchell gets out of it. A's strand a couple. Bottom of the 6th coming up. It's the Yankees 3 and the A's 2.
RBI single into shallow left center field. That was scored Brett Laurie. And then Marcana with an RBI single down the left field line. But here's where the A's had first and third, could not add on. Meanwhile, the Yankees came back. Gregorio with a ball over the head of Smolinski, right field. Chris Young, who had reached on an air, does score. So there's your unearned run. In fact, they did get Gregorius at third. And then Mark Teixeira, as Kazmir had to leave after 3 innings because of left tricep tightness. Teixeira, a home run. And then this is after Chris Young had walked to third on the stolen base, a no-look stolen base. He would score a sac fly. And that's where we are, 3-2. Yankees leading the Athletics in the bottom of the 6th inning. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PICK ATT, mobilizing your world.
So Scribner.
Same pitch you hit out right there.
That's right. Yep. Up and away.
That's the same pitch.
Lefty Eric O'Flaherty starts to throw for the A's. So Scribner had that tough 4th inning, but had a 3-up, 3-down 5th inning.
Yeah, it's almost like when Bob Melvin went out, calmed him down, settled him down, and he did give up the sac fly to Morello, which allowed the go-ahead run to score. But Bob Melvin, it was a one-way conversation, as they would say, and Bob Melvin said his part.
One-two pitch. Breaking ball is low. So Teixeira's home run was his 21st of the year. Pujols leads the American League with 26. J.D. Martinez has 24. Trout with 22. Donaldson, Cruz, and Teixeira now with 21. That's Justin Wilson, the left-hander. Saw him last night.
Saw a lot of the bullpen last night. Now they've added Miller. The back end of the bullpen, and with Batanza going in 2/3 last night.
And that one's hit to right center. And that one's gone. So Teixeira, a 2-homer game, and it's 4-2. And this may sound funny, Ray, but I'm not sure he got all of that one.
Into the bat.
Hit it off the end of the bat.
But that's your left field or right field short porch. Yep. And again, fastball location outside, but a little bit up. Now, again, it's similar to the pitch that he hit out. And he will expand. And he expanded there. And he is healthy. Lift off again. Got the count. See, when Scribner missed with a curveball, the previous pitch comes back with a fastball on 2-2. And it allows the hitter to gear up a little bit more. And Teixeira strong enough to do it.
So 4-2 now. Yankees lead.
Just watch the uppercut.
That's a power swing right there. And Young belts one deep. But well fouled. The Yankees on the year now, 109 home runs as a team. That's 3rd most in the American League. Young fouls it just to our right, down below us. 2nd level here at Yankee Stadium. And a curve and strike 3 call. So versus the Athletics, his 38th home run against the A's. Teixeira. It's also the 39th time in his career that he has had a multi-homer game. Closing in on 400 career home runs. Mark Teixeira.
I think he's healthy this year.
John Ryan Murphy with a line out and a single. Fastball at 90 up and in.
back to Mark Teixeira's first at bat, and just the difference in this game. He started the game batting right-handed. Scott Kazmir blew him away with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball in the first inning. Kazmir leaves the game. First batter that Scribner faces is Teixeira, batting left-handed, and he's faced him twice, hit 2 home runs.
He did play in 123 games last year, but boy, the numbers way down, just a 216 average. But this year, he's doing his thing. He's an all-star and having a very fine season for the Yankees. Pitching change when it's time for change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts.
Vote. Stephen will be signing autographs at the Xfinity store at 4104 Grafton Street in Dublin on July the 18th from 11 a.m. to noon. Autographs are not guaranteed, so be sure to arrive early. And if you don't get a guarantee, you get a chance to meet one of the nicest young men on the Oakland Athletics, and maybe all of baseball. Stephen Vogt, who is an all-star for the first time tonight, playing first base. So between what he's doing at first base and catching, he'll be back there tomorrow after catching last night. Nice young man. Eric O'Flaherty coming in relief of Evan Scribner. If you just joined us, Scott Kazmir started with only 3 innings because of left tricep tightness. So the bullpen coming into the 4th inning. Scribner gave up 3. The runner at first base. Now O'Flaherty try to get the A's back in the dugout.
And his first pitch to Gregorius is lined into the seats. O'Flaherty last pitched on Sunday against the Mariners. We got a couple of outs. So lefty on lefty. Jose Perella is in the on deck circle. Swing and a miss on a good slider. Gregorius had a run scoring hit last night, and he's got a run scoring double tonight.
That's a good chance for Eric O'Flaherty to make some good pitches, get some big outs.
It's blocked by Fegley, scrambles after it.
Another hard slider away, and Fegley moves nicely, and this is what we're talking about. As a catcher, you can go laterally to block a ball instead of trying to backhand. Repairs you in case the runner takes off, which Murphy did not.
Short lead at first for Murphy, and the pitch is bounced to Vogt. He's got it. Fires to second for 1. Back to first, not quite in time. The A's get the lead runner.
I think neither one had a very good grip. Looks like Stephen Vogt wanted to make sure he had a good grip. Same with Semien at second base. So Semien making sure a little bit of a bobble, but Gregorius runs too well to double him up anyway. Stephen Vogt at least getting the lead runner. The ball popped out, and then Semien Had to make sure of the grip. And the important thing there is to make the good throw to keep a runner at first.
So 2 outs now for Perella, who had a sacrifice fly in the 4th inning. Stephen Drew getting the night off at second base. Off O'Flaherty, and it's going to be a hit for Perella. Sounded like it got him in the foot somewhere.
It's too bad if he lets it go. It's the final out of the inning. As it been going right to second base, somebody could have fielded it and stepped on the bag. The follow through. He got him on the left ankle as he turned and carried him just enough and nobody could throw him out. Watch the left ankle right there. Follow down, turn sidebar, followed through to turn sideways.
So 2 on 2 out for Petit. Petit 0 for 2 starting at third base. He's the 9th place hitter. First pitch to Petit is hit right to Vogt. He scoops it up, steps on the bag side, retired. Another run, another Teixeira home run. He's now got 22 on the year, and the Yankees lead 4-2. Retired Yankee numbers. Billy Martin's on there. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Joe Torre, number 6, Mickey Mantle. Number 8's been retired twice. Then Maris and Phil Rizzuto. Well, that's just 1 through 10, folks. There's a lot more.
Yeah.
In fact, there's some new ones out there, right, Ray?
That's right. Last one was Bernie Williams, 51. And someone said Willie Randolph's number 30, Mel Stoudemire, but I don't see 30 up there. But they're supposed to be Jorge Posada, number 20. Andy Pettit supposed to be retired. Of course, Jeter anytime. So the two, it looks like they started the number 4, Gehrig, and move in order with 51 to the right. The last two, of course, Torre last year. Mariano Rivera also the year before at the end of the season, 42. So no one ever will wear 42 in baseball again.
Run out of numbers. Willie Randolph's going in.
You know, it seems like Stoudemire and Wendell Randolph wore the number 30. Then Mel Stoudemire, longtime pitcher, but I guess if you wear a Yankee uniform, you got a chance to have your number retired.
Teixeira makes the catch, leaning over the railing in front of his dugout, where he'll get a little help.
You talk about a ball that stays up a long time, and that helps a fielder. Teixeira gets to the rail and then reaches over and makes a nice catch. It's been his night. 2 solo home runs and that play. Teixeira wearing number 25. That was the number 1 by Jason Giambi when he signed a long-term contract here.
So the new pitcher is Justin Wilson, and the new second baseman is Stephen Drew. So Drew in, Perella out. So Justin Wilson, we saw him last night.
A good play by Teixeira. Of course, other places, especially the Coliseum, not be reaching over. He'd be camping under because of foul territory, but not a lot of foul territory here at Yankee Stadium. I guess when they spent $500 million on the innards of this stadium, they didn't want to put it in foul territory.
Edward Mejica starting to throw for the Athletics. Well, 2 to vote. Pops that one foul. Justin Wilson in last night's game threw 1 inning, no hits, no runs with a strikeout, and he threw 12 pitches.
And he throws hard, as he has been doing in this inning coming in. He did last night. And with a wrinkle and a breaking ball.
Chris Young on the move. Drew out there as well, but it's going to be Chris Young near the foul line. And Stephen Vogt is retired. So Vogt is 0 for 4. And that's 2 outs here in the 7th inning. So that'll bring up Zobrist. A's have 7 hits total in the game. 4 of them came in that 2nd inning when they got their 2 runs. They've been pretty quiet since then.
Really a credit to CC Sabathia, because after he got out of the 1st and 3rd, 1 out, he gave up 2, but after that he had a 1-out single in the 6th inning, and that was only the 2nd that he gave up after the 4 in the 2nd inning.
First pitch to Zobrist is 95 miles an hour, right there for a strike. Ryan Mitchell went 2/3 of an inning and a walk and a strikeout. Gregorius on the move, straightens up, and Justin Wilson with a quick inning. So 7th inning stretch from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. It's the Yankees 4 and the A's 2.
The full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America, Toyota. Let's go places. And by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
Thursday, August the 6th, our Animal Lovers Unite at the Odaco Coliseum, where fans can bring their dogs to the A's 7:05 p.m. game against the Astros. A special ticket is required for Bark at the Park, presented by Nonabone, Adams, and Abalderm. This event sells out annually, and limited tickets remain. For information and tickets, visit athletics.com/bark at the park today.
All right. We'll look forward to that. So bottom of the 7th inning from Yankee Stadium. The Yankees with a 4-2 lead, and we're honored. Are we honored?
He's got to grab a microphone. Get him a microphone.
We're
Matt Vasgersian. Come on, get it. Let's go. Come on,
Matt
Bob. Do
Vasgersian
something.
from the MLB Network is.
Hey, he's a big A's fan. We got to put him on here.
That's right.
How you doing,
Matty, how are you?
That's your talk back. You know what that is. No, you got to. You can't push that and talk. Now you can talk.
Now I can talk.
Now you can talk.
I came up to say hi to you guys.
Well, we appreciate it, but get on. I mean,
I'm here to see the A's.
Bay Area fans want to see.
But that's that voice I hear every morning.
It's a tired voice.
When I'm sitting there in the morning reading the paper,
voice,
I put you on.
That's right.
How are you, man?
You know, honestly, for me to be awake at this hour is one thing. And I used to be able to watch you guys all the time on the MLB.com package. It was great, and now I got to get up and do this morning show, this morning thing. And
it's that work thing, you know?
You're right. Yeah.
The one thing I want to tell you, and I think all A's fans appreciate, because last year when the A's were playing the play-in game,
right,
and everybody was talking on your network saying,
right.
it's going to be the Royals, and you were the only guy that said the A's. And we know why.
It was an excruciating day for all of us.
That's right.
For you guys, certainly. For me, without an exception, no doubt.
So how's married life? Tell us about your big wedding.
Yeah, well, Northern California wedding, right? Had to do it in the homeland. My mother, who's a bigger A's fan than I am, insisted on that happen, and it was great. Yeah, married and living in New Jersey. Wow, what happened? What happened, Kite? But
we miss you off the 24, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Now, did you have this big celebration? Your wedding? I heard about it's going to be all fireworks and all kinds.
It was very intimate. It was like that A's game in '77 against the Mariners that I was at with 128 people.
We forget about that one.
Oh boy!
Well, you do a great job. I mean,
yes, you do.
I mean, you guys do awesome stuff. It's fun to watch.
You know, we tried the biggest challenge. One of the biggest challenges is representing the West Coast.
Yeah.
Because
but you told us that 3-4 years ago that it's hard to do.
It is, because everybody, the whole world is here as far as they're concerned. And there's a whole group of teams that play when everybody goes to bed.
Well, I was just going to say, and you're saying you should be in bed right now. It's 9:30 because you're up at what time?
Up at 5.
Yeah. So that's why you never watch us.
I watch you guys still. Honestly, I'm in bed with the phone and the app.
Oh wow!
It's been hell on the personal life.
I was going to say, how long have you been married?
It's been fine. She understands. She's very understanding.
I hope so. You're in baseball.
But I know you loved coming back to the Bay Area when you were working with the Padres. I remember seeing your mom and dad at the games.
Yeah. Still to this day, my mom and dad take in as many games as Catronio will leave them tickets for, which is usually 1 or 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they get in once or twice a year, huh?
Well, pass it around. We know Steve Finelli, who controls all the tickets to Coliseum, so that's a good name to know.
It's, you know, I came here hoping that there'd be a plan in place as far as the ballpark.
Yeah.
And I thought that when Kazmir came out after 3 that he was dealt for this awesome prospect package.
You must work with Al Leiter, because he came running in here and went, he just got traded, right?
He did.
Did he really?
Yeah,
he did. I believe it.
I said, no, I don't think so. No, he said, he's traded. He said, I'm going back over there, Michael K., to say he got traded.
Well, it was tricep?
Tricep.
That's what they said.
You
know, there actually is a great representation of A's fans in the ballpark tonight. You'd never guess that. Being in New York, it's usually the other way around. And growing up in the Bay Area, it used to just chap my hide when the Red Sox would come to town, the Yankees would come to town, and they'd be loud.
They still do.
They still do. But there's good Oakland representation out there tonight. It's great.
But the roll call in right field and all these fans predominantly are here to root for the A's, or for the Yankees. We know that. And so the smattering of A's fans, I don't even know if they want to be vocal here.
It's safer now than it was before. And, you know, if you'd come here even as recently as 20 years ago when I'm thinking about mid-'80s vintage A's dominance over the Yankees when the Pittsburgh brand wasn't as good. And Dave Kingman used to just own the likes of Ron Guidry and company. And it was kind of fun to be an A's fan then, as it is now.
Yeah. Well, I like that term, safer now.
It is safer. What do you guys think of this building compared to the old place? Because a lot of people in the area feel like, as nice as it is, as pretty as it is, it doesn't have the pulse. It doesn't move with the fan base like the old joint did.
We were talking about that in our open tonight, that it seems the lower bowl is so far set back that it's spread out where the old Yankee Stadium is. It seems like it goes on top of it. So you could hear a lot more.
Right.
it doesn't seem nearly as intimidating. I mean, the old place, there was a buzz for 9 innings. Now it's really not there.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful. The experience here is great. You buy a ticket for behind the plate. You put on the feed bag for the first 6 innings of the game, and everybody says, "Why are those seats empty behind the plate?" It's because everybody's at the buffet.
Everybody's eating.
It's unbelievable. It's a 5-star restaurant.
Have they lowered the prices on those yet?
They have not.
$2,500 a pop.
Is that what it is?
That's what it was originally when it opened.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Flaherty's in trouble with 2 on and nobody out, and Alex Rodriguez coming up. But yeah, I mean, it is a beautiful place. I don't think there's any question about that. But it's going to be hard to have the vibe of the old stadium.
I have to ask you, Matt, because you are back here. Bob Melton's going to make another pitching change. But how do you deal with the team that you enjoy watching, knowing that it's kind of win last night in extra innings tonight?
Yeah.
A little bit different. I think we're going to go to break, so stick around. You know how those breaks are. So
we're
not going to take. Delaire said we're going to stay here, but you know, being an A's fan, and you get on the network and you see, like last night, you had to be excited.
Right.
And Lowry hits a home run.
Right.
And a little biased because you're an A's fan. And then tonight you see a team that looked like they're going to get CC Sabathia early. He settles down. Kazmir goes out. They're down 4-2.
You know, when you're treating this game, if you're me, you do it completely unprofessionally, and you root and you kind of wear it on your sleeve. There's nobody that I work with that doesn't know that I'm from the East Bay and an A's fan. That's not necessarily the right way to go. But look, this is a regional game, and this was part of my sell early on. The channel, the MLB Network, is going to be as good as its regions are.
Right.
And for me to be out there saying I'm from Oakland and I'm an A's fan, that's okay.
Yeah.
It gets a little compromising when you're calling a postseason game. And in fact, I've been in situations where you're so aware of that and you play it so far the other way that people think you're from Detroit or wherever because you're so afraid of being called out as being a homer. But you also feel like, as an A's fan, and I think all A's fans understand this, you feel like you're underrepresented. You feel like you're the underdog. It's been that way ever since the team got there, from your time, Ray, all the way through the vintages, and as such, you kind of overrepresent.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
I'm doing fine. I was just thinking that I have a gift for you that, as much as I would really like to come and see you at work, I've never gotten invited.
Billy Burns did this morning.
Yeah, Billy Burns
he was on.
That's
It
right.
was great.
And so I appreciate the lack of invitation.
That's on me. That's my bad.
But I'm not bothered by it at all. But I have a gift for you. It's a pair of A's mustache socks.
Yeah.
Really?
Green with the gold mustache, which I was going to give you if you ever invited me to see you at work, which you haven't done. But so I'll hold them.
All right.
Look at the schedule next year, and if we're still friends, I will.
Or when they invite Billy Burns out, maybe we can
I'll
tag
just
along.
give them to Billy.
Now I feel even worse about the whole Billy Burns interview because we conducted 2 segments, never asked him about the telecast.
Yeah, well.
And all
like
we
you,
do
Matty.
is pump him up. We pump him up unbelievably.
He
a
is
great player.
what a good kid.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, what a good kid from a great background and really wants to be good.
And you know, Matt, you're going to see him in 10 years. He's going to be the same. He's going to be better as far as a baseball player.
That's
But
awesome.
as far as a person, he'll be the same.
That's awesome.
I mean, he is grounded as there is, and I mean, he's a great player. And what he's done in center field, he's taken over and really shown that he can play center, he can hit, he can get on base, and he can cause havoc. And he's just a rookie.
It's really great.
Yeah.
So A-Rod hits against Mahika with 2 on and nobody out. The Yankees trying to extend the lead. If he hits a home run here, Matt,
I'm out.
you're a -3.
I'm out. Honestly, if that happens, I'm out. His renaissance this year has been
Pretty good story, huh?
It is. It's a good story, but and as much as people kind of want to root for him, there are things that I think kind of prevent you from being fully on board. I mean, it's good for baseball to have a guy like this good again, but there's a lot of stuff there that people are uncomfortable with.
You know, Ray and I talked a little bit about last night, and in reading the New York papers, which is always a treat. They're a lot of fun to read, but that he didn't make the All-Star team. There was some articles out there that were like, it's really a shame that he didn't make the All-Star team, and the game would be better if he was there, which I didn't really agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's not having a good year, and he could have certainly been an All-Star, but all of a sudden, the game, he should be there. Well, I mean, Prince Fielder's having a big bounce back year.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Albert Pujols is having a great comeback year.
All of a sudden, it's this feel good, he really should be there. Where a year ago, everybody was ripping the guy.
Yeah. I think Americans, we love a comeback story. And his is no exception. Here in New York, by the way, it's as though there was never any wrongdoing at all.
Amazing.
He is cheered from the moment he stands in the on-deck circle to when the final out's recorded.
Because he's at 16 and the Yankees are in first.
There you go. That's exactly right.
It's the bottom line. They want to win. And if he can help them win, he's great.
It's true. But a better comeback story on this team is Mark Teixeira, as far as I'm concerned. And Albert Pujols and the guys you just mentioned, Kipe. It's really true.
Could be two. Simeon flips, and it is a double play. So Mahika gets the ground ball off the bat of Alex Rodriguez. So a big double play. Now Ellsbury at third with 2
One
out.
thing Alex does not do is run well. I mean, he's 40, so he's not going to be running well. And this is tailor-made, even though a high chop, and really no hurry necessary to be able to turn the double play. And that is a big double play because the Yankees are up 2, and you know the back end of the bullpen is going to come in with Miller activated. We'll see if Batanz has come in. Somebody's warming up, becoming in the 8th inning. But you know, the one thing the Yankees have done with the bonuses, I think they donated the money to charity.
Yeah.
When the bonuses came up in that conflict. Right. And also, when he hit his 3,000th, the young man did not want to give up the baseball. Right. And the Yankees ended up making a big donation, so they ended up getting the baseball, gave it to Alex, and the Yankees, on his behalf, made a $150,000 donation to this young man's charity.
Yeah, they've done all the right things publicly, and they've made it as tenable as it possibly could have been. I still think there's some underlying animosity there, and it's not all as sweet as we read about.
But as long as they win.
As long as they win. You're right about that.
And by the way, this booing of the fans with Teixeira, this is a smart move to intentionally walk him. The way he's swinging the bat, especially left-handed, Bob Melvin, unfortunately, in a sense, had to bring in the righty Scribner to turn him around left-handed. He had 2 home runs, and Matt, you saw the home runs and how he expanded his strike zone, and you're right. That's the comeback story. Yeah. 22 last year in 123 games. He's hit that many this year, and it's not even the halfway point.
If we could all be as disciplined as Mark Teixeira has been this year, no gluten, no sugar.
How about that?
He looks different physically, and he says he feels as good as he has in the last 15 years.
How do you do that?
No chance for me. No way.
Especially in the kitchen over here, the Yankee Stadium, and in the press dining room.
It's good living.
Oh, my.
I can't walk by Ray's Pizza on the streets of New York without. I'm going to just get one. I'm just going to get one slice. It's impossible. It's like a magnet. Here's Chris Young, first and third. Well, you're lucky trying to keep this a 2-run game.
So you're lucky. You go to bed as early as you do, and you have to get up because when we fly out, all that food's on the plane. It's usually about 1 in the morning, and you can't turn that away. Kipe had a great diet in the offseason. It's gone.
Or as Hawk would say,
he gone. He gone.
That's a big inning right
All
there.
right.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. I came up here to give Catronio a gift, and you guys ransacked. I got a El Paso Diablos giveaway bag from 1984 for Catronio. I'm going to give that to him next.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing you. Go A's.
Continue A's fan. That's right.
HRA Sonoma Nationals, July 31st through August 2nd at Sonoma Raceway. Visit racesonoma.com for tickets today. So we've reached the 8th inning. It's the Yankees 4 and the A's 2.
What a job by Mujica. That was outstanding. And to keep it as close as possible and to share a second home run, so the intentional walk Bob Melvin ordered in and get the big out and keep it at 2. And here's the big man who pitched last night, and with the activation of Andrew Miller, Betances goes back to the setup. So I think the A's can hope that the inning and 2/3 last night, a lot of pitches, that maybe it would affect him tonight. We shall see.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. Betances facing Butler, Laurie, and Smolinski here in the 8th inning. Always good to see Matt Vasgersian, one of the good guys in baseball. Bay Area, big A's fan.
And I think that's the biggest thing, that he is working for the MLB Network, but yet his allegiance still to the Oakland A's. And so Betances, and now the left-handed hitters. There's one of them in Reddick, probably for Smolinski, as he is due up 3rd.
1-1 pitch, good fastball at 98 miles an hour, and it's 1-2 to Butler, who has doubled, popped out, and hit a fly ball to center field. So Butler is 1 for 3 tonight, and he's 2 for 7 in the series.
And those 2 fastballs that Butler has just seen after the first pitch curveball.
And a fastball in the inside corner, and strike 3 called. Butler in complete disagreement with John Hirschbeck.
A couple outside, but Hirschbeck, throughout his major league career as an umpire, has never been one to not call strikes. And a credit to him, he's forced him to hit. But the thing that Betances did last night with all those breaking pitches, he got beat on one throwing to Brett Laurie. Those 3 fastballs he just threw to Butler gets everybody thinking, why does he throw the breaking pitch when he can throw 98 with a fastball? And especially to get beat as he did last night. There's a first pitch breaking ball, which is a good one to Laurie.
Laurie is 1 for 3. Another breaking ball. Now this is an 0-2 pitch, but watch where it is located. Right in the middle of the plate.
When Brett was running down the line, he was saying stay fair, because he thought he had hooked it. That was huge. He's trying to come back again tonight as he did last night.
Okay, so let's play the game here, right? He's 0-2. What's he going to throw?
Probably throw him a breaking ball away.
I think he's going to throw a breaking ball too.
He just shook it off. And he's going to go fastball away.
And it was a high fastball at 97. So what's fun about this is, listen, both guys are very well aware. It just happened 24 hours ago. And Laurie would love to do something again, and Betances says, no, I don't want that to happen again. So a good, entertaining matchup.
Another fastball. That's the fastball location.
Drilled foul. Betances threw 24 pitches last night. He's a workhorse out of the bullpen. I think the Yankees always, I know they were last year, and it sounds like a little bit too this year. They're always a little bit worried about his workload. Sure. He's such a go-to guy, and if they have the lead, you want him in the game.
Well, the Yankees, throughout their last 20-30 years, there it is. Now that's a breaking ball he's trying to throw last night. One that's off the plate, a chase hard slider. And he was successful tonight. Look where he starts it. That starts in the middle of the plate and breaks out of the strike zone. And it's not a strike, but basically from a hitter standpoint it looks like it. But you look back in the years, it was Rivera setting up John Wetland.
Yeah.
And it kind of started at that point, and then you have various guys setting up the great Mariano Rivera, and now Betances sets up Miller, who they signed a 3-year contract.
Yeah, those 2 guys are going to be working in tandem for at least 3 more years, and maybe longer. So Reddick hitting for Smolinski. He falls behind in the count 0-1. shift is on for Reddick. Fernando Abad, who feeling better. His back was bothering him a little bit. He has not pitched in a while. Bounced foul. A slider that was up. So 1-2 the count. Smolinski well in there. You see Ike Davis now out. Smolinski was on base all 3 times. A single, a walk, and a fielder's choice, and he scored a run. 1-2 pitch is a fastball, 97, way high. Betances is still unhappy about last night. He is rearing back and letting it sail. That one cued foul. So 2-2 the count. And a slider, and Reddick hangs in there. Scott Kazmir, who left after 3 innings with tricep tightness, back in the dugout. Again, foul back. So we hope Scott's okay. This was his last start before the All-Star break.
Plenty of time to rest the tricep. 4-day break. Of course, this being Wednesday.
2-2 pitch is hit hard. Teixeira, what a play. Hustles to the bag, and he got Reddick. Sensational play by Mark Teixeira. So he had to dive twice. Once to get the ball, second time to get to first base, and he just beat Reddick. So that's how the top of the 8th ends. Toyota dealers. So 2-7-1 for the A's, 4-8-0 for the Yankees. Scott Kazmir left after 3 innings with the tricep tightness. CC Sabathia pitched into the 6th inning. Mark Teixeira, the offensive story for the Yankees. 2 home runs. For Teixeira, home runs number 21 and 22 on the year. Reddick stays in the game in right field. Mahika stays on the mound as he faces Murphy. Mahika did a nice job in the 7th inning. Came on with 2 on, nobody out. Got Rodriguez to hit into a double play, and then finally retired Chris Young to end the inning. Keep it a 2-run game.
That was big then, and of course the A's will have one more chance as the lefty Andrew Miller starts to get loose on the bullpen. Murphy has stayed in the game, even though the right-handers have come in, but this is a situation where the Yankees have the lead. So Joe Girardi, no reason to bring in Brian McCann, as he will be ready for tomorrow to face Jesse Chavez. It's the lefty, the closer they signed for 3 years.
Gregorius to follow, and then Stephen Drew here in the bottom of the 8th. Fastball is hot. Mahika is the 4th pitcher of the night for the A's. It's been Kazmir, Scribner, O'Flaherty, and now Mahika. Down the right field line, it should reach the seats, and it will. Well, make sure you join us tomorrow, and it'll be tomorrow morning back in the Bay Area. We'll wrap up this 3-game set. Jesse Chavez and Masahiro Tanaka. 9:30. It starts with A's pregame live, and then the ball game at 10:05. And remember, after that, you'll get complete K's coverage every night on Sportsnet Central and CSNCalifornia.com. So, day baseball from Yankee Stadium, and then on to Cleveland. Simeon waits, throws, in time, 1 out. So that'll bring up Gregorius. And Bob Melvin's coming out.
He's got the lefties, plus he wants to see Fernando Abad get some work.
So Mahika ends up pitching an inning and a third. So Abad coming in, and we'll be back. 4-2 Yanks lead.
Hello Kitty is now an Oakland A's bobblehead dressed in an A's jersey and wearing elephant ears. 15,000 fans can pick up, and you can also hug the Hello Kitty bobblehead Saturday, July the 18th. Visit athletics.com/tickets today. Story of the game is this man. If you can put a little napkin over these 2 pitches, you'll see the result is a both. There's one fastball, elevated, a home run, a big one. Solo home run that would tie the game, and this one may be just about 6 inches lower, but the same result. A line drive into the lower deck of right field, that short porch. And Mark Teixeira with 2 tonight, giving him 22 to match his season of last year. And games with 3 home runs, 39 career multi-home run games. It's pretty good.
So Abad comes in to face Gregorius, and after Gregorius, it's Drew.
So those brownies they have in the press dining room, Teixeira wouldn't be having any, right?
I didn't even get to those. I got to that red cake they had, which was pretty good. Silk cake.
That's probably also something that Teixeira would not eat, right? Because
no.
Sugar.
But I was happy eating it. I know that.
Just think what he's missing. Oh. But I guess if he's hitting 22 home runs before the All-Star break, it's working for him.
29th appearance for Fernando Abad. He's had a little back problem. That's why he has not pitched in a while. Heads up down the third base line. That was close.
Just think if there's a runner on second.
Joe Espada. Heads up, Joe. That was really close.
And if there's a runner at second, he wouldn't even been looking. He would have had his back to the hitter. And that is when it's really dangerous. And of course, that's why coaches on the baselines will wear helmets. Move back as far as they can.
So 0-2 to Gregorius, and he got him swinging. That's a good fastball from Abad. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th, and that'll bring him Steven Drew.
Well, I just challenge him, and for Fernando, that is a great pitch. 3 pitches and a strikeout. Just went up the ladder.
So now he'll face Drew. In the 9th inning, it'll be Fegley, Canna, and Simeon for the Athletics, and they'll face the lefty Andrew Miller. Indians beat the Astros 4-2. So that's game 3 of that 4-game series. They'll play again tomorrow night in Cleveland. Pop up. Fegley coming over, but it'll be into the seats. Astros won the first game of that series on Monday, but then the Indians won last night, won again tonight. I think the Indians have, Ray, we'll see it this weekend, is they got good pitching.
Yes.
They're going to score a huge amount of runs. Boy, their starters are very good. Pretty good bullpen. Right on the outside corner, first strike.
Got a pretty good first baseman, too. Not to worry about Brandon Moss being healthy.
Change up. Drew lays off. 2-2 the count. Indians with that win tonight are 40-44. So they're fighting to get to the 500 mark. Off the glove, and now full count.
Look at that scoreboard, Kite, but see that the Astros have lost to Cleveland, like you mentioned, and then the Rangers are trailing. Seattle lost. The Angels, what, Colorado? They're just
they're in a rain delay.
They're just starting.
Yeah.
If the A's don't come back tonight, it could be a good night for Houston losing. Yeah. And as far as the standings are concerned, and it's not too early to start talking about the standings because we're approaching the All-Star break, and you keep expecting certain clubs to start to tail off a little bit. The Astros are looking as if they are for real, and their bullpen has done a very good job, and they got off to such a very good lead. It's going to be tough for clubs to pick up. But the Angels are what, 3.5 now?
2.5.
Or 2.5?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that, well, actually 2 with the Astros loss. So the Angels are making their move. They've won 8 out of 9. So you know they want to play tonight in Colorado. But again, that's in a rain delay. Angels 4 in a row, 8 out of 9. Shoemaker is scheduled to pitch tonight.
Can't find the baseball. Where'd it go? We could say that in Cleveland, like in the old Municipal Stadium, not Yankee Stadium.
Another foul ball by Drew. The Diamondbacks are beating the Rangers 5-2 in the 5th inning down in Texas. Chip Hale's Diamondbacks hanging in there.
Yeah.
So another 3-2. Abad to Drew. Here it is. And it's hit right field, and that's gone. It was an off-speed pitch that was up around the letters, and Drew homers. And now it's 5-2.
And you know, Fernando Abad and Josh Phegley are going to look at what they did to Gregorius and really think, why are you throwing an off-speed pitch? And he planted his front foot, Drew, watch this, and then he just swung. That ball hit off the facade of the second deck. And sometimes you wonder, and you're so proud of a guy when he throws his fastball by Gregorius the way he did with no chance for the lefty, and then he helps another lefty make it a 3-run game.
So 3 home runs tonight for the Yankees, giving them 110 on the year.
You've got the right field porch. All 3 in that direction. 2 by Teixeira and 1 by Stephen Drew, who just hit it. The ball jumps in that direction. 2 righties on the mound tomorrow in Tanaka and Chavez.
Nice big hop for Simeon, who throws him out. Another home run for the Yankees. This time it's Stephen Drew. So 9th inning coming up. Miller coming in. 5-2 New York. Well, we got in-depth sports news for the Bay Area fan, and it is Sportsnet Central, brought to you by Hyundai. It's tonight at 10:30, and it's over on our sister station, Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. We'll have highlights and clubhouse reaction from this game. DeAndre Jordan, he's changing his mind. Is he going back to the Clippers? Oh, that's not good. And Stephen Clay hang with the Minions. That's good stuff. Kelly Johnson and Fallon Smith will host. Sounds like a good show. It's Sportsnet Central tonight at 10:30. So last shot for the A's as the Yankees are leading 5-2, and Andrew Miller comes in. As Ray said, big free agent signing for the Yankees, and he has not disappointed. He's 17 for 17 in save opportunities. Just back from the disabled list. Hit a left flexor forearm muscle strain.
Is that like a tight left tricep?
That's a sore forearm in your throwing arm. But he is good. got a big contract. He's with the Red Sox, and that's where he really put it all together, and then was traded to the Orioles last year at the trade deadline, and then became a free agent and went to the Yankees. Fegley fouls it back. Remember, day baseball tomorrow, 9:30 A's pregame live. 10:05 first pitch from Yankee Stadium. Two to Fegley. And Fegley belts one to center. Ellsbury backs up, and he's got it. So 1 out. A's last hit was the 1 out single by Smolinski, and that was the last batter that Sabathia faced. So the bullpen for the Yankees has been really good tonight.
As they were last night, with the exception, unfortunately, the A's hit a couple of home runs. And you can understand why. Of course, Girardi took a little heat because the bullpen didn't do what he expected last night. But in reality, what happened was the bullpen came in relief of Eovaldi, and they gave up 2 hits.
Both home runs.
4 2/3 innings, and that was it.
It's a tough group.
Yeah, it is. And you can understand. And, of course, we talked about the Royals all the time, but this is a good pen also, and you get the power arms leading up to this guy. And really, if you look at Miller and his arsenal, he does not throw nearly as hard and have all the pitches that, say, Betances does, but he's closed before, so there's a part of that part of the job that sometimes you have to give it to a guy who's at least a little bit familiar with it.
And I think there's an advantage too, Ray, when you have 2 clear relievers that are your guys in the back end, and one's right-handed and one's left-handed. Well, you can flip-flop if you want. You know, if you have 3 left-handed hitters coming up in the 8th inning, you could do that.
And at the beginning of the season, A's had Clippard and Doolittle and Clippard. So exactly. I mean, there you have it, and you're saying exactly what the A's were hoping that would happen this year.
Base hit for Canha. So Mark Canha is 2 for 3. He's got a couple of singles. He's got a walk. And now the A's will try to get another runner on to get that tying run to the plate.
Fastball inside corner, and Mark Canha is very quick on the inner part of the plate. And that was a lefty, which was good. Not a lot of movement from Miller. Just the fastball in part of the plate. So Canha, a good night. Couple of hits and a walk. Drove in a run.
So here's Marcus Semien, who's looking for his first hit. Swing and a miss. Semien tonight, a line out, a fly ball to right, ground out to second. So he's hit the ball to the right side 3 times. There's the slider at 83.
Field back foot slider, thrown hard and to the right foot, which is the back foot of this right-handed hitter, and it looks so much like a strike. Most times it's not.
And that one came around the plate. I thought John Hirschbeck was going to call that a strike. I don't think it was, but I thought he was going to.
No, when the way Hirschbeck stood up, you figured the right hand was going to go with it.
It's interesting. Andrew Miller throws from the far third base side of the rubber. Curious to see if he does that to every hitter. He's about as far on that side as you can go.
Well, Sonny Gray last night was going back and forth, first base side, third base side. And Stephen Rose said, I had no idea, but I knew the ball was moving a lot, which it usually does with Sonny.
That one bounced foul. Now, Miller has a little bit of a crossover delivery. Which is generally a plus for a pitcher, but it can also be a little tough on your arm at times. Burns to follow. After Burns, it would be Vogt. And Simeon holds up, and they're not going to check, so it's 3-2.
Well, Marcus, watch the bat as he goes forward. The bat stays back, and he's got a lot of movement with the front side, but the bat stays back more times than not, and that's why the appeal is not necessary. I hope you don't get a bad call on it.
This one's hit down the right field line, but it'll head into the seats. And it's loose, and it is down that tunnel, and a little help. A little help. So another 3-2. Here it is, and it's belted to left down the line, and that baby is gone way out of here, and it's 5-4.
And how much did we know that the home run by Stephen Drew, making it a 3-run game, was going to be something we'd be talking about, and we are. And actually, for Miller, because he had a 3-run lead, he could afford to throw the fastball, try to throw it by Marcus. He didn't, and Marcus Simeon, what a great swing to crush a fastball down the left field line. And for Marcus Simeon, got Elias in Oakland, and he just got Miller big time here. So it is a 1-run game, but man, that home run by Drew on a changeup, 3-2, is so big right now.
So here's Burns. First pitch to Burns is a fastball on the outside corner for a strike. So 8th home run for Simeon, give him 22 RBIs now. So the youngsters, Canna with a hit, Simeon with a home run. Burns, little pop up. It's going to be foul and up into the seats. The A's finally get to the Yankees bullpen tonight. A 2-run homer against the closer Andrew Miller. Burns down 0-2. He's 2 for 4. He's got a couple of singles. And he chases the slider. Throw to first, and that's out number 2. So 5th strikeout for Yankee pitchers tonight.
Well, the hard slider that Marcus Simeon laid off, Billy Burns going after it with the ball in the dirt. At least he forced Murphy to make the throw to first base. So can Stephen Vogt get a hanging breaking ball? And you'd have to think if Murphy, the catcher, does not set up outside, and as you mentioned, Kai, is Miller's to the third base side of the pitching slab. And if the pitcher does not throw anything but fastballs and sliders outside, it's a huge mistake. There's the first one, a mistake, up and in, but it's supposed to be away. And this is where, when you have a short porch in right field and left-handed hitter, as a hitter, you're hoping to get a mistake to hit the shortest distance. As a pitcher, you're thinking stay away, try to pull an outside pitch and hit it to center field.
You know, too, Ray, with Miller, he was out a month.
Yeah.
And he made just 1 rehab start, so he may not be quite sharp.
And that's why a 3-run lead for a guy coming back for his first appearance is the optimal. I mean, that's exactly what he's wanted. And he's gotten it, and still has a 1-run lead after the 2-run home run.
2-0 nasty pitch, and Vogt waves at it, so it's 2-1.
The slider maybe out of the strike zone, but Stephen sitting fastball got the slider.
Misses badly, so now it's 3-1. Miller a little all over the place.
Well, just get on base and get Zobrist a chance. And he can do the same thing that Marcus Simeon did.
So shift is on for Vogt. And that one is on the outside corner. Close pitch, called to strike. So now full count. And the crowd rises to its feet. Yankees trying to even up this series at a game apiece.
Outside corner. That's a pitch that John Hirschbeck has been consistent tonight, calling balls and strikes.
To deliver. Here it is. It's bounced toward third. That's Petit. His throw is low, and it's past Teixeira, and it's into the dugout, and Vogt will go to second.
How about that?
It really was not an easy play. Petit had to wait for it, and really, Ray, he had no momentum going to first base when he threw it, and that hurt him.
Stephen trying to go against the shift, and you're right. He came up and really. Stephen Vogt hustling down the line. He's going to be removed for a pinch runner. But what Petit did, in the fact that it went off the glove of Teixeira, hit maybe his knee and then catapulted into the dugout. So the A's with Stephen Vogt just forcing the play, hustling down the line just as fast as he could go, and able, with the ball going to the dugout, to get to second base. And Petit really was forced to hurry his throw, and that's all that you want, is to have the infielder have to make that kind of play.
First pitch to Zobrist, swings over top of the slider. So the tying run is at second base. It's now Sam Fuld who is running for Vogt. So now a flare anywhere could tie the game. Outfield is in a couple steps. Zobrist 0 for 3 with a walk. And that's bounced foul, and now it's 0-2. So again, the crowd gets up. Tense moments here at Yankee Stadium. Adam Warren starts to throw. 27 pitches for Miller here in the ninth inning. Pitch and a high fastball, and Zobrist fouls it straight back. So that was an error all the way on Gregorio Petit. Slider away.
Trying to throw it down and in, and left it outside.
Slowly hit. Petit charges, scoops his throw in time, and that's the ball game. So a very close play at first, but Petit made a nice charging play. They are going to think about looking at it. Bob Melvin says, hold on a minute. This is a fairly important play.
Zobrist out of the box. Petit with the glove. And I think they're going to decide to celebrate for the Yankees because he got it by a step.
And they did.
Well, it's a bang bang, and of course a do or die play for Petit after throwing the ball into the dirt. And Zobrist just could not get there quickly enough, and that's why Adam Roden said no chance.
So the Yankees even up this series with a tight one-run win of 5-4. It took 3 hours and 9 minutes. 41,626 was the attendance. Final score: the Yankees 5 and the Athletics 4. You've been watching Oakland A's baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California, part of the NBC Sports Group. Don't go away. A's Post Game Live with Brody and Carney starts right now.